Welcome to Phonogenics 101, a Riotboy production hosted by Jeremy Gloff. The podcast where people who love music discuss albums track by track. Please hit subscribe, and if you'd like to support this podcast, patreon.com/Jeremy Gloff or Venmo @Jeremy Gloff. And now, on to the music. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Phonogenics 101. This is a special episode. Very, very rarely do I like to go off the grid of doing the discussing albums track by track, but such a legendary, life-changing event happened for everyone on this podcast that we just could not resist coming together to talk about Joni Mitchell's Echoes Through the Canyon, or whatever, Canyon something. The Joni Jam at the Gorge in Seattle, Washington. So all of us were actually there. We're all going to tell our stories. I'm just going to have everyone go through it if you wanted to say where you're from. I don't really have a structure for this. We are going to go track by track of the concert in order. And I think we had a request to kind of talk about our journey to get to the concert. So we'll do that as well. A couple highlights. I stole a couple Rice Krispie treats from Sue. Allison gave me some chip dip, but I stuck my fingers right in it. What else? How else did I fuck up on the strip? Okay. Anyway, so in my upper left, in replace of Bob Mueller, who was not at the concert, we have Chris. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi. That's me. Yeah. Be doing the introductions. I'm north of New York City. I've been a part of this podcast for a bit of time now, and we've got a special event to talk about because we all have our own coming and arrival stories. We all, this could be a really great discussion about the experience of being there. So much so that I think that we can honestly say that there should be an international version of this, or there can be an international version of this program we're putting together here, because there were so many people. This really was and felt like and behaved like a worldwide event of a very, very specific kind of humanity. And I wasn't expecting for it to be quite so profound a journey, but this was fun. I took the airplane. I have lots of stories. If you want to hear the short end of it, I met people all weekend long that I just kept running into, and in the most random places, and in the friendliest manner possible. It was in a sea of what felt, there's 27,000, plus group of folks who all gathered there, and to be running into people that we passed along the way to find them at the destination. It was an extraordinary experience. I'd be interested if anybody else had a similar experience where they were seemingly crossing paths with people, or getting to know them on a higher level than it day to day feels like. That's all I got to say.
All right. Up next, Vanguard, Michael Paz.
Vanguard. Yeah, I'm down in New Orleans where it's hotter than hell. It was 115 degrees or something yesterday with the heat index. And so we've been staying inside in the air conditioning and sort of basking in the glow of this amazing event. We're still not quite come down from it. For me, it was an amazing experience to get together with so many of the JMDL, the Joni Mitchell discussion list, which I've been a member of since 1996. And I realized on this trip that I actually didn't join the JMDL first. I actually joined, there was a chat room on AOL that I joined, and that's how I found the JMDL through that, and it was called like an internet cafe or something like that. But yeah, so yeah, I've traced back some info on that, talking to somebody else on this trip. But I came with my wife Freda and our dear friend Andrea Tullis, who's the widow of my friend Joe Tullis, singer-songwriter, who was a big Joni fan as well. And it was, as Chris says, extraordinary. And there was just one happening after the other. I can't believe how many people I ran into and how many people were just coming up and hugging me randomly. And I didn't even really know who they were, but everybody's just so fucking happy. It reminded me, like, after the Saints won the Super Bowl, we were all down in the French Quarter, and there was just everybody's just hugging everybody, and nobody knew anybody else. Everybody's just so freaking happy. So yeah, it was a fun time had by all. Cheers.
All right. Up next was my roommate and bedmate, who put up with my smelly feet and my snoring, and a lovely breakfast at Denny's, Sue Tierney.
Yep, Sue Tierney from Ithaca, New York. And thank God my brother Jimmy was supposed to get your ticket, Jeremy, and he decided to go surfing in Nicaragua, which, he lost out, I'm telling you. We had so much fun.
But let's be real, that totally sounds like Jimmy.
Yeah, that's totally Jimmy. Yeah. And it would have been fun if he was there, but he wasn't. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that starting off with meeting up with Jeremy and then meeting everybody else at the airport. Remember the airport? That's where it all started out, right?
Like
all
gate,
these people. Yeah.
Gate 3, right? Or whatever.
It was just me and you. And then it was like 25 people just hanging out talking. It was crazy. And then we got the van. So Michael got the van. And how many of us were on the van? Like 15 of us. It was unbelievable. And we rode down the road to Wenatchee, and I was just blown away by the scenery. It was gorgeous, and getting to the Airbnb that we were staying at, that was really fun too. But before I left Ithaca, Michael and I called each other and rode back and forth, said we got to have some get-togethers. So we started that Joni Jam at the Gorge Facebook page. There were 140 people on that page. And I think they all wanted to go to the picnics. It was crazy. And so we had two local parks that we had set up. The first day, the Friday one, it rained. And it was the wrong pavilion. I mean, but it all worked out. We plugged in the sound system and we played, and yeah. And I got roped into making a baby shawl for Kevin's mom from England. Yeah, it was just like stuff was happening constantly, and the music was great. And then that happened on Saturday too at that beautiful park, the Crescent B. Oh my God, that was great too.
Right in the river.
Yeah. And, the thing was the people. I mean, all these people gathering from all over the world. A couple people from London were there. A couple people from, I can't remember. It was like,
Ireland, right? Argentina,
Ireland,
Poland.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, Argentina. Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing, and everybody was great, and and it was basically a whirlwind, and everything worked out. Almost, perfectly. I can't think of anything bad happened at any of those picnics. I can't remember. I think I got a little sunburn. That was it.
I don't feel like anything bad happened the whole trip.
Yeah, it was just
amazing. Perfect.
It just all gelled, and then that professor came. Remember that professor from Connecticut? I was like, oh my God, this guy came from Connecticut and he wants to talk to me about the tunings. That was really bizarre. It was cool though too. So I haven't heard from him since then, but very bizarre. And what I loved was our group, me, Allison, Jeremy, sometimes and Jahida were sitting in the back of the van and like yelling at each other and throwing shit at each other. It was like we were teenagers. I loved it. It was so fantastic. So
And I was the house mother driving the bus.
That's right. You were always yelling at us.
So this is what I told my friends when I got back to Tampa. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I met my people. Like, Joni Mitchell fans are like assholes, like in the best way possible. Like everyone's like so sharp and so witty, like, and like, but not sensitive about it. So I like, it was so, I sat at my desk and cried the Monday I went back because I felt like I could just be myself.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm. Well, I guess
There's no judgment in our group.
Yeah.
You get what you paid for.
and you don't want a refund.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Sue?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, making his first appearance on this podcast, I'm not going to give any fanfare. Brian Thomas.
Hey. Yeah, I am Brian. I am chiming in from just south of Albany, New York, in the lovely town of Del Mar. Yeah, I made the trip. I spent an extra day on either end, meet up with a high school friend at the beginning and then a college friend at the end of the trip. And then in between, it was all Joni family all the time. For better or for worse. But yeah, it was just such an incredible week and such a culmination of, all these fools hanging out together for, is it 27 years of the list? Are we going on 27?
Are we counting?
I think it's about 27.
Yeah.
Maybe 28 even?
27 for me.
Yeah.
But it was going before I got there.
Yeah.
There was an inner circle before that.
But yeah, the whole week was amazing. I mean, we'll talk more about it, but yeah. But yeah, I'm still there inside the fallen constellation in my mind. Yeah, it was an incredible week.
God, I feel myself like getting damn emotional just doing the introductions. We're not even into the damn concert yet. Next, Jack Merkel.
Yeah, I'm Jack Merkel. I'm out in a suburb of Chicago called Bartlett, Illinois. One of the weird quirks for me, I pick up on weird little details. The first time I saw Joni Mitchell was at Red Rocks in the ninth row for the Shadows and Light tour. And
Nice.
And for this tour, I happened to also be in the ninth row in the center. So to me, it was a really nice pair of bookends. Kind of weird, but I was very happy to get a ninth row seat. Flew in from Chicago. Actually, the first thing I did is I went to some shopping area along the ocean and I bought this beret. I figured, God, it's Joni. I gotta get a beret for the trip. So that's the first thing I did. And then I headed out to Wenatchee. And it was an amazing weekend. And that just the communal aspect of it, I think, was one of the things that I really loved. Even before the show, during the show, just everyone, the joy in everyone's faces was really, really great. And I don't know if we can mention, a shout out to a certain person who was able to hook us up with these fantastic seats. But anyway, thank you. Really amazing job there. I wonder how many of us could have been there if that didn't happen. That wouldn't have been able to get tickets otherwise. So anyway, thank you for that. And I guess that's about it for now. I'll talk more later.
Not only that, Jack, but we all had tickets within eyesight of each other, kind of. So that kind of even elevated the concert for me, is that I could look over and see these people I loved.
A cluster of us, Yeah, it was great. Really very, very special.
All right, next on my tiles, the last time I saw her was in the merch line. Sue and I were stuck with this girl that would not Stop talking. Remember her, Sue. Laura Stanley from Arkansas. Laura was not the girl that kept talking. It was this girl we didn't know that was in line in front of me and Sue.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. We were weaving through the merch line, and there y'all were. Well, whoever would have guessed, that the old computers, that had the modems that made the sound, and we first get the internet and we look for Joni Mitchell and we stumble upon the Joni Mitchell discussion list, and what the heck is that? And I just jumped right into the conversation, and I think it was Bob said, "Aren't you going to introduce yourself?" And but that's the way it is. I mean, you just fit right in, with these people who have been so inspired by Joni Mitchell. And I like the word constellation. That's definitely what this seemed like to me, was like this new constellation. And I think one of my favorite things that Joni said was, "Oh, where'd they get all the lights?" And Brandi said, "Those are their cell phones." And to look over the crowd and just to see so many lights, and I came from Arkansas with my friend Betty, and Betty hadn't been to a Joni Fest since 2004. We were at the Full Moon together, and that was my first Joni Fest, and Betty came, with me. So she came, and we landed at the airport in Seattle, and there was Pat and Ann right at our gate, waiting for us. It's like, how did you know? And it was just heartwarming. And so then we had to find other people. We had to find Olivia, who's on here tonight, and she's our youngest member, I think, and we were a little worried about her. We got to find Olivia. If we don't find anybody else, we have to find Olivia. We're like mothering her, we got to make sure she's okay. And so she was wandering around the airport and we found her. And the last person to fly in was Marianne. And so we were all going to ride in the same van, and we stayed at Soap Lake at the Masters Inn, which was an incredible experience. And then the next person that we ran into was Kevin from New Jersey, and he was staying there at the Masters Inn too. And
how was that place?
It was awesome. The Masters. And there's a story about the lady Jong who ran the place. She thought that she had encountered all of us 500 years ago when she was a man. I think in Italy, she was a painter, and our spirits were over there too. So she like knew us and she offered to buy us pizza and everything. I mean, it was just like everywhere we went, it was like home, And so, yeah, there's a lot of little stories about the Masters Inn and Soap Lake, but I hadn't talked with Kevin in years and found him fairly recently again on Facebook. And he was the one who told me to get the Hissing of Summer Lawns, that I would like the song Sweet Bird. And so we call each other Sweet Bird. But at the concert, there were so many people running into, and one of them I really almost literally ran into. I was coming out of the bathroom, and there was Ashara, and with her purple hair. And I walked right past her, and she grabbed me and she said, "You're not walking past me." She said, "Hey, Laura." And that was so good to see her. And there were many encounters like that. So it's great to be here with y'all and see y'all again.
All right. And next we have Olivia. Speaking of Olivia, you're next.
All right. Well, I'm Olivia. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. Kind of like super late to this discussion list thing. But Marianne Rizzo kind of introduced me to it. I just posted a picture of my tattoo on Facebook, and she sent me a friend request, and then we started talking, and then yada yada. That's how I ended up at the concert. I've been listening to Joni since I was like 11 years old. My dad gave me, well, I heard you turn me on a radio on MySpace, actually. Someone had it on their MySpace profile, and I liked it a lot. And my dad knows all kinds of music, so I asked him, like, do you know about Joni Mitchell? And he lended me Blue, For the Roses, and Court and Spark CDs. And I listened to them like crazy, and like the rest is kind of history. Like I've loved her ever since. And the show was awesome. I had a great time. I feel very grateful. It was awesome meeting Laura. We have a lot in common. I feel like I met someone that really understands me. I didn't realize how huge this show was going to be, the magnitude of it. Like, uh, I feel kind of silly. I brought record covers for her to sign, because I thought maybe I would get a chance to meet her. But after I realized how big of an event it was, I realized that wasn't going to happen. But I still brought him in. I was hopeful. It was amazing. I loved hearing her sing by herself. When she sang "Coming from the Cold," I like freaked out because I love that song. And I didn't know what to expect because she has such a big, catalog of music. So to hear her play some of her later, she sounded really like good. She could carry her newer songs like on her own. Like some of her older music, the high notes she needed like Brandi or someone else to kind of carry the song with her. But I like the ones where she was singing by herself. Those are my favorite. I keep reliving that night too. I mean, she played for like 3 hours, I guess, but it felt like 30 minutes. Like, I was, I just been working so hard at my job, and I was just like holding on, like waiting for this Joni Mitchell concert, and like fuck my life, just let me make it to this concert. And like I made it, and it was amazing, and I'm so grateful to have met all of you. And Joni Mitchell, right? I fucking found some people that understand. But yeah.
Well, Olivia, I'm glad you're here with us tonight. This is gonna be I can already feel it. That I'm already like getting teary-eyed. I'm not even through the introductions. All right. We sat on the couch. She witnessed me steal Rice Krispie treats. We sang music together. I made her watch Madonna and Sam Stone's collaboration and Kylie Minogue. Jahida, take it away.
Sam Smith, not Sam Stone. That would be a very different.
Oh, did I say Sam Stone? Well,
I kind of want to hear that.
I know, right?
How can we make that happen? Like AI or something, maybe?
Oh my God. Well, let's hope Madonna is okay.
yeah,
If was too much for her. Good Lord. It apparently was too much for us too. So I'm Jahida Esperanza. I am actually from Colorado, but I am coming to you today from Vermont, where it is hotter than hot and muggier than muggy. I am wearing clothes. It just doesn't look like it. And
I'm not wearing pants.
You're wearing shorts, right?
Just underwear, yeah.
None of us are. Yeah.
I guess I have been a part of the JMDL since 2005. I discovered it, which although pause you talking about the AOL chat rooms made me like have a major flashback. I don't think I ever came across any Joni ones, but maybe I did. I just can't remember because it was so long ago. But I know that I was in college and I wanted to find, people who felt the same way I did that, weren't that I could keep in contact with. But at the same time, I was just, as one does now, easily just typing in all of the things that I love onto Google, and it was Joni Mitchell, and that came up, and I all of a sudden was just like, it's like that scene in movies where all of a sudden, like, the lights come on, and it's like fireworks, and everything is beautiful, and I found my people. And I was reading it, and I just said, I love the fact that even though I've not met these people yet, I feel like I know them already. And that has never changed. If anything, it's only gotten stronger. And I ended up going to Colorado to live with the guy who started the whole JMDL. His name is Les Irvin, and hopefully he comes up fairly soon. He completely forgot about tonight, which is not surprising at all. I'm surprised he remembers my name. And so we live in Colorado together, and then we flew to Seattle with Leslie Watts being incredibly kind and using her mileage to get us some tickets. And we met up with you guys in the airport and then jumped into that van, and it was so fun. Just really getting to reconnect and connect with people that I haven't really had the chance to connect with before, like Freda. And she and I sat next to each other, and she was just so delightful. And Andrea is like my sister from another mister. And yeah, we just the whole weekend, it felt like that. Like I met people that I hadn't met before, but I had known for, this long, almost 18 years. And I will say, the hugs are unparalleled. It's one of those things when you hug someone and it's like you just know you've known that person deeply for a long time, even though you've never actually physically met. And it's a beautiful feeling. And the same thing with us, Jeremy, was like I swear it was like we had known each other since, childhood.
For real though.
Totally hit it off. Of course we would. But yeah. And then same thing with Kevin, because he was mentioned. I was like really sad that we didn't get the chance to connect because we were in completely opposite directions, which I was not aware of. I thought, like, for some reason when we were all talking about where we're gonna be, that it was gonna be this like small little town and we were all just gonna kind of meet up, and then it was like, no, you're like an hour away. So when he had just finished, like, I guess going for my seat, but he was on his way to go say hi to Les and me, and I ended up meeting him right there, and it was just like and then we hugged, and that was it. And it's just it really, honestly, like, those moments are ones I'm just going to treasure forever. I'm a big type person, like people person. And I think that Joni is as well. She's a really amazing observer of the human experience. And so I think that's what ties us all together in so many ways. And I think this is why we all have that connection with each other, is because even though we are very different from all different walks of life and all things, we do share that appreciation for the human experience. And we share the love for someone who is able to perfectly write stories and sing those stories about it. And I also really love getting super snarky with you and Allison. The snark is strong. with
The
us.
snark was so strong, and I loved every second of it. All right. Well, last but not least, her first time on the podcast, one of the housemates, and just I enjoyed every fucking second with her. Allison, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Allison. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. I think I joined the JMDL. I want to say it was 98, but because I remember going, well, anyway, I think it was 98 because that was when I met Jeff Clark. For those of you who remember Jeff Clark, who I ended up moving to New York City and becoming roommates with. So like 98, when did the list start? Pause.
It was 95-ish, I think. It was maybe less than a year before I joined.
So yeah,
my mom had passed away in September of 96, and I joined shortly after that. I was in mourning, and I went to the computer and I typed into a search engine Joni Mitchell, and that came up with the AOL link, and then I found the JMBL and Kaki and Ashara and everybody.
Yeah, so I think it was like 97, 98 for me. And then I moved to New York to live with Jeff in 2000 as roommates, nothing else.
What was your first Joni Fest? So was it Topsfield or was it Full Moon?
Topsfield. It was the second Topsfield.
Second Topsfield.
Yeah, it was the second Topsfield when, well, no, because there was like, did she do 3? It all blends together. There was the one that she did that was very small, all at her house. Then there was the second one that she did that was bigger at her house with like evicting her children so people could sleep in their bedrooms.
I was at both of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at that one. And then it was like, okay, this is too big. And then we moved everything to the church. And we did everything in that little white church. Remember that?
Yeah, that was on the coast.
Yeah, so beautiful. So that's how old I am and how long I've been hanging out with this particular band of freaks. It's been a very long time. So yeah, what else do I have to say? Loved the show. Second time I have seen her live. You know, it was magical. It was fantastic to hang out with all of you and to forge some new relationships. I love your kind words, Jeremy. For those of you who've known me for a long time, I'm a pretty terrible person. I'm not friendly or easy to be around.
That's not true at all.
But it was the snark was real and it was fun and it was so. I hate to say it because it's not probably popular. The getting together with a bunch of people I haven't spent time with in more than a decade was kind of more important than the show. Kind of better than the show for me. And the show was great and it was fun. But it was like the reconnection of the kind of shit we used to do on an annual or semi-annual basis. So that part was really the magical part for me. And the show was fantastic and the seats were fantastic. And I appreciate all the work that Les put into it and all the work that you put into it, Michael. You put so much work, and Sue. I mean, so many people put a lot of work into making sure that it was easy and fun for everybody. And a lot of us just got to sit back and enjoy. So thank you to you for everything that you guys all did. And whether she decides to come out and perform again, I want to do this again. Just because I have missed it. I have missed it truly. Even though I don't like most of you.
So my theory is the harder the shell, the sweeter the juice. So Allison, that definitely applies to you.
There you go.
Allison, you're my type of person, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm here for you, Olivia.
Well, my name is Jeremy Gloff. I am the host of Phonogenics 101. We started a podcast 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember. I do Stevie Nicks episodes, Madonna, but the Joni Mitchell ones, every category is its own special group of people. And I'm so thankful y'all just let me just waltz my fucking way in and hang out with y'all and put up with my shit. I had so much fun. I am totally agnostic, but this shit was spiritual to me. Like it was a spiritual experience. And just as a point of reference, like the whole thing was magical from even when people were coming in on the planes. Like people were bonding on the planes as strangers because people were wearing Joni Mitchell shirts. So everyone had these stories like, hey, we had 6 people on our plane going to the gorge. So it really was like this exodus from the globe of like-minded people. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. And the day of the concert, we were sitting in front of the van on a blanket, and everyone was just playing music, singing. I was drinking a diet fucking Pepsi. And I just said, like, this is going to be the best moment of my life. My life's never going to get better than this. And I really feel like 80 years from now, or 8, I mean, who knows how long we'll live, that will always be one of the best moments of my life. Because I just said out loud, like, motherfuckers, like, we're going to a Joni Mitchell concert in 2023. Like, I didn't think I'd ever see Joni Mitchell in concert. And then I got to see her in concert, right? And how and who I got to do it with, like, you all are just the best. Like, literally the best ever. And those of us that were there that couldn't make it today, this like the best. So, anything else you want to say before we start heading towards the concert?
You just wait. That couldn't have been the best weekend of your life because we've only just met just recently. Look, we just met young Olivia. She fits like a glove, this child. Unbelievable commentary. I love what she said.
Enjoy it well, lads. Take it what you can.
Compared to all of us old goats here. But Jeremy, wait till you come to a Joni Fest in New Orleans.
I can't wait.
Decadence weekend. Then you'll be talking about, oh my God, let's do this again.
I can't wait.
I have to say that this is like this sort of feeling is why people have been following the Grateful Dead around, for however many years or whatever. And, if I had had the opportunity to be a Joni head, I would have done it. But this is the feeling, the heroin-like feeling that you're chasing when you get to go.
Except that we have really good music.
And guitars are tuned.
Sorry, all you deadheads. Okay.
Not necessarily.
And we've been waiting a long time for the party to start because, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, and now they do. And should we be thanking Brandi Carlile for that tonight?
Yes, absolutely. Can we hear Jeremy say it? Jeremy.
All right.
Thank you, Brandi Carlile.
Thank you, Brandi Carlile. We're going to go into that in a moment. We're going to go. I have things to say as our host. Let me thank my Patreon subscribers, many of which are here, and the YouTube followers. I must thank them for following the podcast. But let me say one more thing, then we'll go into the concert. For those that weren't there, you had to fly into Seattle, drive 2.5 hours to a town. You could pick 1 or 2 or 3 different towns. And then from that town, it was another hour and change to the venue. So when we got off the concert at midnight or whatever, we had to Sue drove us home over these desolate mountain roads. At 1:30 in the morning, it was like, it's definitely a journey to get to this venue. So not only was it like an emotional journey, and Joni Mitchell's life story has been a journey, it was literally like a physical journey to get to this place. So that kind of added to the whole like legend of the event, don't you all think? There was that little windy there was one like particular like really windy road down the mountain that wasn't too far from our town.
You say it was the long and winding road.
All right, and it was only 1.5 miles long, but it seems so long.
Right.
And scary.
I'm going to say one more thing, then we're going to go to Chris. All right. Throughout my many podcasts, I've talked shit about Brandi Carlile a lot. Okay. And I just want to say publicly, I'm very protective of Joni Mitchell. When someone gets so close to someone I love so dearly, I'm very protective. I thought Brandi was a little much, but the Brandi Carlile I saw at this concert was to see it with my own eyes. The way she looked at Joni when she was performing and like the loving care that she took in every moment on that stage. I'm converted. It's official. I love Brandi Carlile. There we go.
Yeah,
I said it.
I'm a fan now too.
So there we go. I'm out of breath.
Just you and me on a rock, baby.
And I listened to that song and I liked it. I'm on the rock too. Now I'm on the fucking rock. Okay, Chris, take it away.
I just wanted to say everything you said about getting around for the gorge and where we had to stay and the logistics of meeting up and all of that complication. You're absolutely right. But let's talk a second about the drive just from Seattle across the Snoqualmie Pass through to, across the Cascades into the desert of central Washington State was exceptional. I think I wrote to the list or on a Facebook chat group, bring oxygen. It's breathless and it's breathtaking, and it absolutely is. When you cross down into the Columbia River Gorge, it is absolutely spectacular, and it's something that wouldn't it be nice for everybody to see. It made me feel really small, and so to arrive at what then felt so gigantic an event with so many wonderful people who were caring and interesting and friendly, it was great, but I just didn't want the opportunity to pass by without acknowledging the natural splendor that confronted and awaited and welcomed us. Thank you, Mother Earth and Father Sky.
I too will never forget the views on that drive. The cashier at Subway, the guys at the gas station where the clam chowder was. Okay, Jack, your hand is up.
Yeah, before we get into the actual concert itself, I just got to say one thing about the people who were ADA challenged at the venue. This will be a little bit of negativity. That's why I want to do it now, so that we don't ruin the vibe of the concert. But the ADA situation at the Gorge was really horrible. One of the people from our group actually collapsed in line, waiting to get into the ADA entrance. There was another woman right behind us that also collapsed in line. They had to get medical out there. It was just really a very bad situation in that heat. To be standing, some people were waiting in line for like 45 minutes just to get the wristband, and then they had to get in line to enter the venue. It was really bad, and equally, it was just as bad leaving. In fact, 3 of the people from JMDL, one of them was in a wheelchair, and they had actually taken a shuttle from Wenatchee. But it took them so long to get the shuttle to the parking lot that they missed the shuttle back to Wenatchee. And they were basically stranded there in the middle of nowhere. One of them was in a wheelchair. They had no choice, but they had to use, the shuttle to get up to the gorge. Miraculously, and this is, I still can't believe this happened. Cheryl couldn't find her car and was walking around the parking lot and ran into them. And then the 4 of them together found her car. She was able to drive them back to the hotel. And we arrived at the exact same time. The 3 of them and me were staying at the same hotel. And as Cheryl drove away, they realized that they had left their car at the train station where they picked up the shuttle, and they needed to leave in an hour to drive someone to the airport. But because I happened to arrive home at the exact same time, they said, "Hey, would you mind driving us?" So it was like a whole weird series of events that actually worked. The universe was watching out for them. But anyway, to me, it was the only bad situation of the whole weekend. Was just they were obviously over. They actually have a great infrastructure for ADA people. with the shuttles. It'll take you up and down and what have you. But they did not take into consideration the demographics of, a star like Joni's age, that there will be a whole lot more ADA than you'll probably get.
Yeah. Did you go the night before?
Yeah, and that
We
was
went to because Brandi, it wasn't that way on Friday night.
right.
I mean,
you
we
were
got
sitting
there.
behind us, Jack.
What's that?
You were sitting behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Brandi night, it was great. I was really very, very impressed with it. And so I thought, oh man, this is going to be perfect for Joni.
Yeah.
But it was
It was
nightmare.
horrific.
It was really, really bad.
Can I add something negative that really upset me? I couldn't see Joni Mitchell from where I was sitting, and neither could any of the people next to me. Like, if you were on the left or the right, not center, you couldn't even see her. Like, I watched the whole show on the big screen. Like, I couldn't, like, I mean, not to take away from how amazing the experience was, but the fact they sold tickets that, like, they should have known that people were going to be upset that they couldn't see. I was in the fourth row. I should have. That's a good seat. I should have been able to see her, and I couldn't.
A couple of us were
because of
talking
the
like
setup.
there is no reason for the venue was beautiful, but there really should be no reason for there to be a venue that far out there. Like, I had the best trip ever, but like never again. I'll be fine if I never see that part of the country again. I did it. That's cool. Never again.
Speaking from a production situation, what Olivia is saying, I mean, holds true. And they were way upstage. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but there was probably 30 feet. If they would have moved that whole set downstage by 10, 12 feet, then she would have been closer to the downstage edge, and all those seats on the sides would have been perfect. But that was a production thing, and of course that falls on somebody that.
I just wonder if they knew that like people wouldn't be able to see her and sold those tickets anyways, or if it was like something they didn't think about, because it seems like a pretty big thing to miss.
From my personal experience, because it was a once and only time that they were doing that they didn't rehearse it. Nobody was looking out for that situation because everyone was so excited about doing it between Brandi and her crew. And obviously Brandi's whole crew are the ones that produced that whole thing. I mean, her management, her wife, and everybody were the ones that were involved in doing that. And, they did an astronomical job, but they really, they should have taken a look at those types of issues, because those were, premium seats, where I was in the fifth row, and I could see okay, but I'm tall. My wife is 5 foot tall, so when the people were standing up, she couldn't see at all. But we could actually see Joni in the chair. I couldn't see Wendy and Lisa. I couldn't see a lot of the people on the sides because just the poor placement of the production.
Well, who cares though? I just wanted to see her.
Exactly.
You see, I'm a big Wendy and Lisa fan, and I couldn't see Lisa once, and I've always wanted, like, Joni Mitchell's here, but Wendy and Lisa are pretty high up in my list of heroes. So I definitely wish I could have seen Lisa a little bit more.
I really don't care
at all.
Later.
Yeah.
I'll speak of guitar playing later, because she should have got to play more guitar. Wendy,
yeah, I agree. That was awesome.
I love.
So anyway, I got that off my chest. Thanks.
Chris, did you have your hand up? Nope.
Wandering around in the dark.
Okay.
I am.
Aren't we all wandering in the dark? All right.
No, sorry guys. I was needing to move to change. The backyard got a little buggy there, so I'm gonna go inside for a second. Thanks.
Well, here we all are. We are all in our seats. We're waiting. And then Brandi comes out. Brandi, who we love now. We all love Brandi. But seriously though, like, I'm a pretty cynical person, and I always maybe am a little bit of a pessimist in some cases. But
me too.
I'm going to go against you 100%. If you didn't like Brandi before, you weren't paying attention. She's an incredible guitar player. She's an incredible songwriter. She's an incredible performer. So I'm sorry if this brought you to Brandi, but you should have been there anyway.
Damn.
I just know, like, I think her songs are fine, but it's just not my thing. Like, it's just
They're
not
not Joni's.
Kept me alive during the pandemic. Thank you, Brandi.
Did you see the Echoes from the Canyon acoustic?
I saw it.
the
I
other
saw
night?
it in IMAX last year when it came out live. I saw it happen live.
all I saw is her at Newport singing over Joni Mitchell. And
Jeez.
Bitch.
however, at this concert, just I saw a tenderness and a genuineness. And you know, Allison, maybe 2 years from now, like I didn't like Tori Amos till she came out with To Venus and Back. Like I was like, I fucking hate Tori Amos. Till she releases
clearly
like
have some issues. Come to the ladies. Come to the ladies. They're here for you.
Oh, Tori.
And
Tori now.
I
And
understand
he has to release To Venus and Back.
Brandi singing over Joni though at Newport.
What's that?
I totally understand where you're coming from as far as Brandi singing over Joni at Newport. Though the more I've watched, you know, she even did it a little bit at the Gorge, but to me it was more of a support where she thought that maybe Joni couldn't get the lyric because Joni's got a very interesting phrasing, you know, so she may have pauses where Brandi may not expect a pause. And to me, it was like she was trying to feed Joni the line more than sing over her. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I did watch a Brandi Carlile interview, and she said Joni wasn't even supposed to sing at Newport. And then she kind of surprised everybody by jumping in. So, you know, I think Brandi probably was supposed to take the lead on a lot of those songs, and then Joni decided she wanted to sing. So I haven't even listened to more than one half of a Brandi Carlile song, so I can't really say her music's generic. I just haven't even listened. So I have an open heart, like Madonna, Open Your Heart from her album True Blue. Okay, Brian's hand is up.
I will just say at the Joni 75 show, like the first night, it completely caught me off guard. Her duet with Chris Christopherson, which was like one of the most generous and moving performances I think I've ever seen. Like a lot of people were complaining, like, "Oh, he can't sing anymore. He should, you know," but she was like guiding him through the song. But even then, she wasn't singing over him. She was like supporting him. Whereas with Joni, even at this show, I felt sometimes it kind of betrayed a lack of confidence in Joni's ability to hit the notes.
Yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
After
And it took me out of it a couple times, to be honest, except there were a couple times when Joni would just power through and take command of the vocal. And then, you know, I was a puddle of tears again. But,
I was nervous.
Even
like,
at this
during
show, we were all nervous. Yeah.
The first song, I was nervous. I was like, oh no, is this how it's all going to be? Like, I'm just going to be hearing
Right.
Brandi instead of Joni. But I'm glad it wasn't like that.
Right.
Let me say just on that Joni 75 thing, and I feel the same way. Do you know that they had diagnosed Chris Christopherson with the beginnings of dementia and Alzheimer's? And as it turns out, he didn't have it. He had Lyme disease. And he's actually not, you know, he's not doing as bad as he was those particular days. But that's
a silent killer. Everybody had that.
A very moving experience to see how generous she was to support him and the way that she looked at him. I mean, oh my God, it was very emotional for me. And I think the mix had a lot to do with that. Whoever her front of house guy tended to ride her microphone hotter than it should have been at most times, in my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah, there's definitely a sincerity there that cannot be faked. So if I wasn't so lazy, I'd go back and edit out anything negative I said, because she was just, Brandi was awesome. So awesome at the concert with Joni. And it's non-disputable. Without Brandi Carlile, we would not have this chapter of Joni Mitchell. So before we go into the song by song, I think there's one more topic that our fiery panel here needs to debate. And that is the article that came out saying about how Joni's being exploited. And some fans feel like Joni shouldn't be out there And I keep hearing these comparisons to sporting events. Well, when athletes are past their prime, they should stop playing. First of all, don't even compare music to sports. Music is an art.
Right?
Sports, like, I don't like sports.
Me neither.
I think it's terrible that after someone's prime few years, they're supposed to sit in their house and rot. I'm going to say my opinion, then anyone else can jump in. I think that as a society, we have to take care of our elders. And we don't, however it looks, we don't want our elders to be sitting in a house, rotting away from view because they don't act like they did when they were 30. I think the joy I saw in Joni Mitchell's face was so fucking sincere. And she was so happy to not be stuck in her house. And I think that nobody on this panel can know, well, maybe, I don't know everyone's life story. I don't know what it's like to basically die and then come back to life and to have a second lease on life. Yes, Joni was a cynical bitch and we all loved that. But maybe a life-changing near-death experience, who knows how it's going to change you. And I'm here for the ride. My biggest takeaway at this concert is that we got to show Joni Mitchell how much we love her. Like, she got to stand on that stage and just soak up the love that we were all giving. And the fact that I had the opportunity to give that back to Joni Mitchell, you know, I just think, thank you, Brandi Carlile. Thank you. Because our Joni here, I don't want her sitting in a house withering away because she's past her prime. I wanted, if Joni can go up there and croak a few songs or sing them beautifully like she did, I am here for it. So that's my opinion. I'm going to kind of let everyone else take it away. We have Sue and then Laura with their hands up.
Well, I was just going to jump in and say, if that's her past her prime, then I'm for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I felt extreme jealousy when I met a woman that said she saw her in 1972. I was like, fuck, like, that's amazing. Like, why do I have to be so young?
I think that would have been cool, but I think it's all just someone's story. Like, you jump in different parts of their story. And I think this is where Joni's story is at now. Sue, did you have something? Your hand was up. Oh, you're on mute.
As soon as you mentioned that, I don't know why, but I immediately thought of Pablo Casals, who played cello until he was like freaking 95. And everybody, he would like pack houses. And Joni is a genius. Joni is the genius of our time. She's better than anyone. And I don't say that like it's just me and I'm a fangirl. It's true. And if you saw the other articles that happened beside that one that was kind of snarky, I mean, from the New York Times to the London Times, all of them, I mean, you know, all over the world, they were talking about that concert. And, you know, there's an issue with age, there's an issue with sickness and dying that people don't like to look at, you know? And she went through all those things. Like, you know, she was sick for a long time. It wasn't just the aneurysm. There was other stuff going on with her, like, like since Taming the Tiger up to the Both Sides Now era, you know, when she was singing in the concerts or the orchestra. She had a lot of time of ill health, you know, and then, of course, there's the polio and all that stuff that went on when she was a kid. And that's what made her who she was. That's why she talks about humanity. And she talks about all the changes that she went through all through her life. And, you know, we can learn, I mean, and we do learn from everything she talks about, you know. You know, what about that song, Facelift? Happiness is the best facelift. I mean, she wanted, you know, she wasn't going to change her face or, you know, start, keeping, you know, being the ingenue. You know, she talks about that. She was out of her ingenue phase, and then she was into her middle age, and then she never. She just was herself, you know, and that's what I respect about her. She's just amazing, and now she's got the braids. I love the braids, you know, and her beret and her Indian cane, you know, the bear cane, and that's her. That's who she is. It's all about her. So, you know, fuck them, you know.
let me just say, like, Joni Mitchell's like an A-list musician. I'm like double Z-list, like way down in the bottom. But
You're not.
like in my creative journey, sometimes you do fall into a younger group of people, and you gather an inspiration. Like I'm about to release my 24th album, and there's different times like I meet a whole new bunch of people that excite me. It's a whole new group to collaborate. So a lot of people are like, Joni's not even with the people she was with. So she met a great new group of people that inspire her.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it was great.
I just don't agree with that article. Okay, Laura, then pause.
Yeah, everything that y'all have been saying is right on. Joni's a person, and she's personable, and she has so much to give along those lines. And that's what she was doing. And the whole concert thing, and then to think about her house, her instruments, they weren't being used. She wanted to have some sort of a solution for that, and she liked Brandi Carlile, and she invited her over. I don't think she didn't know what she was doing there. And she did mention that the music thing is part of her therapy now for recovering from the aneurysm. And that whole message of recovering, from an event that was possibly, she could have died very easily. But the message to hold on, when she was singing If, I was like Olivia, I was in the wings. I couldn't see her, but at the encore, I went forward, and to hear her, with that message, those last few songs, I know we're going to get to them, but that was like the summary for me of she's trying to give to us. She cares about us. She cares about her fans, and anybody who's ever met her will say that. It's not like meeting a wonder star. It's like meeting somebody who's interested in you. And I have met her, and that's what it was, and she also said in an interview around the Toronto event that people don't know her, and that she talked about Ruby Lake Resort and the dinner and a movie with Joni with her friends, and a few of us on the JMDL who were lucky enough to be there. But she, in this environment, was giving to us. She didn't just haphazardly pick the venue. It's like what Chris was saying, the drive there and everything. I really think that she's passing the healing on to us. And, that's a pretty profound message that she's been speaking, and at least that's what I've been hearing. Maybe some of y'all have been hearing it too, but from my perspective, she's wonderful. And, we've come out of a pandemic where so many people have died. I've lost several very good friends and, parents of friends. And, there's something like hurt. There's a hurt that needs to be healed. And Joni Mitchell does this wonderful thing, and shares her healing with us. So, and yes, thank goodness for Brandi Carlile. But Joni, she was in the know. She knew what she was doing. She handpicked Brandi Carlile and made that happen. So it's just it's a miracle, kind of like Jack was saying about Patty in the wheelchair and all that. It's miracle upon miracle to get us all there and for this thing to happen. And it's still going on. Here it is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have a pause, and then Jack, and then Allison.
I agree, Laura, with a lot with what you said. It makes me angry that the writers like this, or reporters, not even really good writers, have got to write blithering, stuff like that. For what reason? For what purpose? I just don't get it. All the people that reached out to me over the course of whatever was happening in the media as people became aware of what was going on and that she was going to be performing at the Gorge, so many people reached out to me and, said, how wonderful, I know you're going to see this. I know it's going to be an amazing experience. And, all the goodness that came from that. I remember the night in Newport, somebody called me up and said, hey, are you there? And I said, am I where? I said, I'm at home. I'm in my easy chair having a martini. Where are you? And they said, well, Joni's getting ready to go on stage at Newport Folk. And I said, what? And so, I immediately called a friend of mine who actually was a stage manager that day. And sure enough, yeah, she was about to take the stage. And then in real time, I started, with a bunch of people, started texting with them and videos started flying. And I mean, you just become so emotional at the whole journey. I remember, it was March 30th, my birthday, when she had the frickin' aneurysm. And it was horrific for me. I mean, I was overcome with emotion that night on a happy celebration day for me. But no, I was thinking about this person that brought so much joy into my life and so much healing. It makes absolutely no sense for people to degrade her that way. All the evolutions of her voice and every iteration, every version of every song has always been amazing for me to listen to, regardless of if it really hits me or not. It may not hit me at the moment, but 5 years later, I go, holy fuck, that was amazing. So yeah, all those freaking journalists, fuck off, go see Taylor Swift or somebody, those shows. Sorry, I love Taylor.
I don't.
Go see Taylor Swift when she's 79 and see what she's doing.
Yeah, right?
All right, we have Jack and then Allison.
Yeah, I just wanted to, one of the things that kind of struck me, especially I think from the Gershwin thing on, is how gorgeous Joni's voice is sounding these days. And, even at the Gorge, the songs where she really took charge and it was just her singing, her phrasing's unbelievable, probably better than ever. And the timbre in her voice, it's, to me, it's like, oh my God, can you imagine the album that she could make? Because, if Brandi is in fact singing because she's afraid Joni's forgetting the lyric in the studio, if she forgets the lyric, they just, read. I don't know. I'm hopeful, possibly, especially with all the attention she's getting, because I think her voice is that obviously doesn't have the range that it did, but the quality of her voice right now, I just think it's stunning. Anyway, that's all.
I feel like what she's lost in range, she's gained in weather, and I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Allison. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. I think it's really important to remember that we are free-thinking individual humans, and no one is required to consume, read, or pay any attention to any of the articles written about the show or about her. I mean, it's garbage in, garbage out. Like you can just ignore it, and it doesn't have any emotional effect on me. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Like I was saying, if they wheel her out on a fucking stainless steel dolly and then just put on some auto tune, I don't give a shit. It was an experience of a lifetime. I have seen Joni previously. It was, however many years ago when we were all at Madison Square Garden, or many of us were at Madison Square Garden together. You could build a house out of the articles written about how shitty that show was. And that show was fucking phenomenal. And this show was fucking phenomenal. And I just want to put that out there, because we are not required to consume or react to any of this so-called criticism or musical critique or whatever it is they want to say. They're going to say what they want to say. Also, fuck you, Michael Paz. Taylor Swift is a genius. You'll get there.
It's the only thing I could come up with on short notice.
Hey, that's lame.
Yeah.
She's a genius, and I love her. And also, my last comment is if you haven't gotten to a place where you understand how talented and how much longevity Brandi Carlile is going to have, sit down with headphones and just listen to Hurricane.
You know what? I will.
Go to the audio book and get the music chapter.
Yeah.
That will sell you. It will sell you.
And I'm not saying you have to like her. I'm just saying in the same way that we get really defensive when people are like, oh, Joni Mitchell, how are the 70s holding up for you? We're like, no, it's not about that. I mean, like, Brandi is an incredible musician. She's an incredible songwriter. She's an incredible performer, and she deserves the respect that she gets from a lot of places. And that's just all my 2 cents. Just get some headphones, put in Hurricane, and listen to it, and then just come back to me and tell me that you think she sucks, and then we'll fight more.
And apparently quite a businesswoman.
An incredible businesswoman. And we owe her a debt.
She's married to Paul McCartney's former chief foundation finance person. They know money, yes.
Yeah.
And they know how to make it and find it and nurture it and love it until it takes care of itself so it can help other people.
And
it's
do
a
good with it.
really great use of nonprofit sector making a positive input into business, the record business of all businesses.
Hey, I'm still mad about them saying Paul McCartney was going to show.
Oh yeah, there was a rumor going around that Paul McCartney was. That's another thing that we forgot to mention is the days leading up to this concert, there were so many rumors going around. Janet Jackson was going to be there until someone looked up that she was performing in like LA that night. But that was part of the fun.
Same with Elton John. They were like, oh, yeah. I think I heard John at the sound check last night.
James Taylor, Graham, like all these people were supposed to be there. Just to bounce off what Allison said, I do think Brandi Carlile's here to stay. And I think that's great because honestly, like Brandi Carlile doesn't bring anything but positivity. Like, and I love that she has up and coming musicians on the stage with seasoned music. Like, and it's, you know, it's not like she's not being like deliberate about it in an ugly way. I think she just sincerely likes to surround herself with a vibe. And I'm like, fucking Wendy and Lisa were on the stage. Then some really great musicians I'd never heard before. You know what? I'm here for Brandi. I'm almost considering going in. Yeah, I'm here for it. So anyway, let's. Oh, Jack.
Bramley? Did you join Bramley?
I didn't join the Bramley, but I
We're
left.
not crazy. No one's joining the Bramley. Jesus, we got enough of our own shit to deal with.
But
Calm down, Nurse Ratchet.
I do welcome Brandi into the Jonally with open arms.
No, it's gross. I'm a Swiftie through and through.
I just
I'm
have
a
to say
member
one
of the
thing.
Bramley,
Olivia.
and I even got the bigger upgrade.
Taylor Swift did not deserve John Mayer, and that's the reason I don't like her.
Oh snap!
What?
Whoa!
What did I miss?
What did you
She
miss?
she
John
dates
Mayer?
men, they break up, and she writes a song about them. Like that's her MO. It's just like
Wasn't that
irritating
blue?
to me.
Wasn't that blue through Court and Spark though?
Yeah, I mean everybody does that. Dude, Taylor won fucking Grammys on the backs of her.
Well, like
breakup.
she like runs through them just like so often. It's like
So did
obnoxious.
I.
So do I.
But I
We
never
know
got to
somebody who's
tour
been
on
through
that.
quite a few.
Anyway, I love John Mayer, so like that's why I don't like her, I guess.
I like that banana hammock he wore that one time. All right.
What? You'll have to send me a picture of that.
Do we have anything else to say before we go into the song by song an hour and a half later?
Yes.
Jack.
I just have to give a shout out to Annie Lennox.
Oh my God.
Her performance of Why at the Brandi show, unbelievable. Stole the night as far as I was concerned.
I'll find a link for it and send it off to you. I posted it on Facebook.
Yeah, I got it. Yes,
I watched it. I love Annie Lennox, and Why is my favorite Annie Lennox song. That's a tour de force.
It was amazing, and I wasn't even out of the arena, and I said this just happened and put it up. It was like, I mean, incredible.
I should have gone. All right. We are sitting in the 5th, 6th, 7th row, wherever we are.
Ninth.
10th, 11th, 12th. We were all close to the stage. We were close to Joni Mitchell in 2023. Randy comes on stage. She starts to introduce all the musicians. Fucking Wendy and Lisa are on the stage, who I love. Annie Lennox, who I love. Sarah McLachlan, who I don't hate. And then a bunch of kids are up there that are all very talented.
Marcus Mumford. Oof.
Marcus Mumford. I have no opinion on him, but I guess we'll go through
I
all
used
these
to
songs.
like him in high school, so it was a nice surprise.
So then when Joni Mitchell walked out with her cane and sat in the big throne, me and Sue were next to each other and we just cried and cried and cried. We all had our arms around each other.
And Luann was next to us too, and she
Luann. And then
all
I had Garrett on the other side, right?
Yep.
And then Sam, and then Sam's friend with their little heart that Joni saw from the stage. So Sam's friend lives down here with me, I think. That girl lives down here. So the first, are we ready to go into the track by track discussion? We're going to use setlist.com and go by what they have there, because apparently I remember the set list incorrectly. The show opened with Big Yellow Taxi, a song that is one of Joni's, what does she call it, Sue? Her Old MacDonald.
Yeah, Old MacDonald had a farm. Circle game. She said that at
No, Big Yellow Taxi. Everyone knows that one.
Now I will say when the song started, I'm just gonna be like honest. I felt like Joni was like the mix was a little weird or something. I felt like Joni was a little off the beat. Like I was a little worried the first song. It just seemed like a little off to me. I'm like, I'll be honest, the first two songs I'm like, oh no, like should this not be happening?
I know, right? Yeah.
When you go back and listen to the videos, you realize that Joni was putting out a harmony. Like, and it was actually a harmony that worked in the song when it was mixed better. But the way it was mixed in the concert, I was like, oh shit, like maybe Joni shouldn't be out here. So that was my first impression. I was a little nervous. Big Yellow Taxi. How did everyone else receive the first song?
I couldn't stop crying for the first two songs. I was just sobbing like a little girl. My wife was sobbing. We looked at each other and she said to me, "Wow, I get it now."
Oh.
But she was not saying it about Joni. She was saying it about the JMDL, because I said, but you love Joni before. No, she goes, I mean, this whole thing, this coming together with your friends and the JMDL and all that. And it was just, it was a poignant moment for me. And that compounded it. So yeah, that was good for another good 3 minutes before I composed myself during either Night Ride Home or Raised on Robbery. So.
And by the way, Freda is fucking amazing, Paz. Like, I just had to throw it out there. Love her. I can't wait to hang out with y'all again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Big Yellow Taxi, opening track in the Joni Jam. Any other thoughts on it? What did you guys think, Chris?
I was glad it was getting out of the way early.
Right.
I was really glad it was getting out of the way early, because at this point it wasn't going to be a later on in the show, which the show didn't need it. The yahs would have been inappropriate anyway. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they got this kind of this pop anthem out of the way, it kind of, it has a great message anyway. You know what I mean? Whether or not it's as artful as she got, it was still, it spoke to a lot of people and a lot of people adore it. So I'm glad that it was there. I'm just glad it was out of the way. Now we can go deeper.
What was interesting, and I have witnesses here at the airport, so remember, I'm like, what if she opened with Raised on Robbery? And then Jahida, remember, I'm like, what if she ended with If? And like, it was weird because that wasn't too far off of what actually happened. But I thought Big Yellow Taxi is not what I expected them to open with. But I thought it was a great way to open it. I think it was getting it out of the way, like, check it off the list.
Also, I like that she did the whole Dylan verse.
Oh, I loved it.
Because it was a nice hint. Well, first of all, everybody else stopped singing so we could hear her. But, it was a hint at the joy and the sense of humor that was to come from her later in the show. So it kind of set the tone.
It really did.
Yeah.
And there was so much like clusterfuck of voices that when it kind of went off to Joni just being Joni, I always felt like a second of relief. Because there was just so much going on and the overwhelming emotion. But then, I call that the Miles of Isles verse because that's how she did it on Miles of Isles. And how fucking like that's for the fans right there. Like that's so cool. Any other Big Yellow Taxi thoughts? Shahida?
Well, one of the things I realized was like it seemed like all the people on stage with her were just kind of like, holy shit, I'm on stage with Joni Mitchell right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was really cool because they're all really, well, maybe most of them are all really successful in their own right. But like to see, Annie Lennox
as a backup singer.
As a backup singer with Sarah McLachlan, and they're just sobbing, holding on to each other. It was one of those things where you realize like, oh, I am not, I know I'm not alone in feeling this intense love for Joni Mitchell, obviously, but it was something that made everybody on stage really like one of us. And it was really nice to see, like, yeah, okay, it's Big Yellow Taxi. It's the song, right? But for those people to be like, holy shit, I'm on stage singing Big Yellow Taxi with Joni Mitchell. It's not like
right in 2023.
Exactly. It's not like I'm singing this in a tribute concert without her. I'm literally singing it with her. And I thought that was really cool.
All right. Anything else? Big Yellow Taxi. Sue.
I just have to reiterate what Paz said. I was so emotionally like waterworks. I don't even remember what the song sounded like. I was like, oh, she's singing. I knew that she was singing that, but I was weeping uncontrollably just for the awesomeness of everything that was going on. It was like my brain was blowing up. I was just so incredibly, on a different plane.
It has to do with a lot with what Laura was saying about what she brought to the table. Yeah. Everything that we've learned from all these years that we've gone through this with her. It just, yeah. And the entire JMDL being there, all these close friends, people that we've shared the stage together and sang together and got together weekends in the mountains and drank and ate and smoked and whatever. It's just, it's amazing. And I think those, I'd give anything to be asked to go to a Friday night jam at Joni's house and just be a frickin' fly on the wall. I don't care who would be there other than Joni. It would be just unbelievable. And that's it's sort of, I've had those same type feelings sitting around like at Chris Caccaro's house in Hudson on Croton, my God, with Dave Blackburn and Robin and Sue and everybody sitting around singing songs. Brian was sitting around. Oh, did I say that out loud?
That was like a flash jam. That was weird. It was just like assembled, and it wasn't supposed to be anything but folks dropping by just to say hello to Robin and Dave while they were passing through. And suddenly we had a PA system.
A mini fest.
And then somebody who knew how to run it even. Thank you all again. That was fun.
All right, Allison, your hand is up.
I forgot what I was going to say.
If it comes back to you, just jump in.
Okay.
All right, Big Yellow Taxi. All right, Laura, did you have something you want to add?
I know what I
Yeah.
was going to say. Can I go back?
Oh, go ahead, Allison.
Yeah, Allison, then Laura.
I just wanted to reiterate for the group, I don't remember any song that was played. I don't remember what any of them sounded like because I also was crying uncontrollably. And the people in the seats next to me were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Do I look okay? I'm
I
not
have
okay."
photo evidence of that. Yes.
Yeah, like I'm not okay. I like it was all. It's all such a blur. So to be able to go back and watch it again and reabsorb it is going to be like the most valuable part. And also, having been said, what I do remember. But also, we were up until the sun came up that night because we were all so high, like on life. Like I could have, consumed an entire bottle of whiskey, and I still would have been standing around that table talking about what an incredible experience it was. It was just like really unfathomable in the moment. That was where I was going to go with that.
And Allison, when you were saying like the hangouts were just as good as the show, like I'll never forget standing around that table. Like we all did a shot. I remember eating the potato chips. Like I remember every little second of it because it was all so valuable. All right.
The relationships from this list and this group of people have kept me alive for a long time. So like just the reunion aspect of it. I was a fucking child when I joined this list. I'm still a child. Obviously, I'm only 25. Yeah, I mean, like we can talk about Joni as much as we want to, but the list is also an incredibly important part of why this group is meant.
All right, Laura.
Stay young at heart. Getting back to the first song, though, there was so much movement in that song, and there was so much movement on the stage, and there was so much, movement in Joni that I thought that song was just perfect, and kind of like y'all, I wasn't uncontrollably crying, but my mind was just going, "Oh my God, is this happening? Oh my God, and that song, it was like it brought me home. It was like a homecoming. And Joni coming up on that stage, for her concert, it was a homecoming. And the movement of that song was just enough to do it.
All right. Well, after Big Yellow Taxi, they started playing a song. I'm like, what is this? And then Joni Mitchell, without anybody singing with her, went into fucking Night Ride Home. And that was the album. That was the first new Joni album to come out after I became a fan. Because I became a fan in 90. So the first new Joni Mitchell music I ever got to experience was Night Ride Home. And to hear her sing such a beautiful rendition, like that is when the concert really started for me. Because the weather in her voice, it's such a beautiful song in the first place about a beautiful night. And, there's not a more beautiful night than seeing Joni Mitchell in this gorge with all this fog coming off the stage and the stars out. Like, yes, magic exists because that was it. Night Ride Home, so fucking good. Anyone else want to jump in about Night Ride Home?
It did the same thing for me. I was able to recover from the sobbing and hold it. It was happening inside, but I was able to absorb what she was doing, and she really was on. I mean, it just was such a poignant reading of her own song in a different voice that we'd never heard that sung before, and the richness of that voice and everything. For me, that was one of the remarkable things is, how many iterations do I get to experience? I mean, when she's 100, I'm going to be going, holy shit, she lowered it another octave. There you go, Joan.
And I feel like the arrangements they did were just so great. Like, I love the band. I just thought I feel like there's not words. I have no words.
It's interesting because there were a couple of different guitar players who were playing in the tunings, which was really great. Wendy, of course. I can't remember. I think that I think it was the guy from Mumford & Sons. I can't remember the guy with the beard. I can't remember his first name, but his brother or whoever it was.
He's the one that did Amelia, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Guys, yeah,
he's playing the
I don't
guitar.
want to jump ahead, but I really think that
Mills.
gotten
No, Mills. I think
Mills played Amelia. Mills did play Amelia.
Dawes.
Pardon me?
I thought it was Dawes.
Dawes, that's right. The guy from Dawes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was really great.
I would have loved if they would have had Wendy come out, because she played so wonderfully in Las Vegas when they did the Music Cares show, and actually that was co-produced by some woman named Brandi Carlile and John Batiste from New Orleans, and they did an unbelievable job. And I got to speak to Wendy and Lisa after that show, and I told them both. I mean, I'd never heard Lisa play grand piano, but it was like concert amazing, like symphonic, wonderful piano playing. You would have loved it. Crazy good.
Taj, you're leaving out a little bit of the story the way you told it back at the house, because you're like, I only ever heard her on the synthesizer.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
What? And you haven't been listening, Jack.
Dr.
Come
Fink
on.
is the other one, you know.
Oh, well, any other thoughts on Night Ride Home? Jahida.
Well, I just looked at Dawes is the guy who did Amelia. And Blake Mills, brother group. He was the one who was playing in the Gershwin thing. He played with like everybody, basically Alabama Shakes, Band of Horses, everybody. So he was just kind of the comping guitarist for the night. But when Amelia came through, the lead guy was Taylor Goldsmith from Dawes. So
okay,
yeah.
I couldn't see where I was sitting.
All right. Well, for the third song, Joni Mitchell wanted to rock and roll us now. She fucking played Raised Not Robbery, and I was just like, I told you guys she was going to play this. And once again, like Big Yellow Taxi, Joni was putting on kind of a harmony that at the time it wasn't something I was used to. So I'm like, like what's going on here? Because Night Ride Home was so glorious, but then we kind of got another sing along. I will say that the best moments of the concert is when Joni took the song solo, because she's completely capable of doing it. And the clusterfuck of the sing-alongs, it was awesome. Like the whole concert was awesome, but I just preferred Joni solo. But Raised on Robbery, it was fine. I don't have much to say about it. Does anybody have
missing the in-between banter?
Yeah, what'd she say before that one? Because if anyone has a memory, jump in. It
was like actually about like a hooker.
Oh, right? That's right.
This is about some hooker she knew.
Did she say she was a Cree whore or a
yes?
Cree hooker? Yeah, because I was like, whoa.
Yeah, basically, she was talking about she was a hooker that she had known about. So, it's so funny because one of the things that when I first joined the JMDL, my brain did not work in that same way, and that the whole thing, I'm a pretty good cook sitting on my groceries. I had a legit no indication in my brain that was a euphemism. I literally pictured a woman outside of her door sitting in a bag of groceries because I'm apparently dumb, but
no, you're courageous to tell us.
Well, now as soon as somebody said that, I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. But now I'm like, dang, it was not only like, a kind of story about this fictitious woman. It's about a real person. So it was really cool. I have to admit, like, one of the best parts of the entire show to me, other than obviously hearing Joni, is just how quick-witted she was. She was funny. She was quick and
calling Brandi Butch.
That's what I'm saying. Like, She,
funny.
really, she had a joy about her and a little vulgarity, Jeremy.
And I was so there for it. Like, there was one point I looked at Sue. I'm like, that's our Joni. Like when she started talking about how like a dictator was running the country, I'm like, oh, there she is. That's our Joni. And the banter was just as good as the music. If not, I don't want to say better, but just as good and just as important.
It's interesting. I was thinking that, pre-aneurysm, she could, you'd read an interview with her and she could be kind of caustic and bitter. And there was that same thread of like, I don't know, just like this biting tone to it. But there was just so much joy in what she was saying. Like whether she was dissing Dylan or talking about Kevin McCarthy or whatever, it's like that same biting Joni was there, but it was just the biggest smile on her face. It was refreshing.
That's
When
the
we
story,
got there,
the
were they
story
not
about
rehearsing?
Dylan. Oh my God.
They were rehearsing this song when we got there, right, Jeremy? I mean, we heard it in the parking lot as we were parking.
Right.
We were speculating on who was actually singing the song because it actually sounded a little bit like Brian Adams, who sang it at the TNT thing, right? It kind of had that tone to it. But yeah, that was incredible. I can't believe they were still sound checking when we drove up. That just goes to show you the amount of production and stuff that went in it, and how this thing was thrown together with so many different people. It's incredible.
And it was also interesting because some of the insider information we got, like, oh, Joni's not going to play guitar. Oh, they didn't really like. Nobody really knew what was going to happen until we're right on in front of the stage, and maybe even the people on stage didn't know what was going to happen too much before. I feel like the whole thing was kind of organic.
It's a jam.
Yep, it's a jam. And
I would have to say, like, Michael has been producing music for a very long time and producing musical concerts and performances for a very long time. This is my first foray into that this summer, working at a small garden concert series. And like the amount of work and time and text and like the people running around, whether it's like, they want water or they need a speaker X foot from the stage or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to, I guess, be positive and negative. I don't know how they could have missed putting her so far back on the stage that you mentioned. That was a production error for sure.
Oh, wait.
Well, there was 2 sets.
I got more.
Right?
I got something on that.
Set.
Okay, hold on. I'm not done. But also the nerves of steel for these people that are going out to try to make this show perfect for someone of Joni's stature. Like, it must have just been soul crushing. It must have just been so much pressure not to fuck it up. And there was no way somebody wasn't going to fuck something up. And we all still had a really good time. And so I'm just going to shout out to the massive production team.
I did when I first said it. I said that because obviously it just slipped through the cracks because there's so much that can go wrong. There's so many different details.
And you're also dealing with big fucking personalities. You're dealing with Joni. You're dealing with Annie. You're dealing with Sarah. You guys have all been on the road for 20 plus years.
And I don't believe any of those people had anything to do with it. I think it was totally the core production crew, the video crew. Somebody said, it needs to be set up like this because of video, because we're capturing this for a DVD release or whatever they're doing, an HBO special, whatever it is. Yeah. There's just so many different levels of production when you get right down to it. I don't believe Joni's hard to deal with. Brandi's probably not hard to deal with at all. I mean, she has her specs and she had her crew. They had her stuff done. So it was from a much higher level, I think, from a production standpoint for maybe the end product for the video.
I think you're totally right there. And I think it was like, how do we film this well? Wasn't as much like, how do we make this amazing for the live audience that just drove 743 fucking miles to get here? How do we produce this well to sell it next? Which is, fine. I'm going to watch it. My mom's really psyched about watching it. But that is, in my mind, kind of a fail because we all spent so much time, effort, and money to get out there for what was a great show. I'm not going to lie, but there were misses. And Chris, I think you should
I have to sort of agree with a lot of what you said, but I do have to put forth a perspective that I don't know if I as much read about it or as much as sort of pieced together in my own mind too. I think that there was enough unpredictability for how it was going to work for them to really try to accommodate not only the film crew, but the needs of the performers to feel like it was a very, very intimate setting. So that required that they could not open up the V to allow for better sightline, but they had to keep it clearly delineated almost to the periphery of a room, a rectangular room. And in order to do that, to help everybody else in terms of their own, rapport, they needed to limit the sight lines from the stage. And a lot of persons like myself was in that I have to look at everything on the screen or I will not be able to see the person I came as far as I did to see. So I'm hoping that is the higher calling that precipitated the way the stage was laid out, and not necessarily the forward look to the next step. I do acknowledge the cynicism, but I'm still going to hope that it was you'll
notice that most stayed stationary when they had their moment in the sun. I mean, Wendy and Lisa did not come out when they got when they were doing Strange Boy or whatever their highlights were. Most people stayed in their own place, except for, was it Mumford? Mumford came down and kind of sat in Brandi's chair, did he not? Or
and so did Annie.
Annie Lennox did too.
Annie also came down. So, I mean, and I guess those are unpredictable moments too, but I understand the whole vision of the Joni Jam, and they were trying to make it her living room and that whole set, as it were. That was a big stage. I think they could have come down and accommodate poor Olivia. She didn't get to see her,
I think that they made a critical production error in that you cannot turn a 20,000 or 30,000 or however many seat stadium that is. It's never going to be a living room. So that was a bad concept from the very beginning. It is a massive stadium in a beautiful place. Give it the respect it needs. Give the people that are paying the respect that it needs. It's not going to be a living room. We're not there. It's a fucking stadium. Like, put on the show and deliver the production quality that needs to deliver that show. That's where they failed, in my opinion.
I don't remember, what was the stage like for Brandi's opening set? Was
different
any of this stuff already?
They were down to the apron. They were literally standing almost on the apron of the stage.
Yeah, that's right.
On stage.
So could have her setup have impacted the way they...
If you look at the stage, they had a good 12 feet on either side of the riser that they were all up on. So you could actually, I mean, it could have been done better, I think. It's like I said, for whatever reason, whatever other reason that might have happened because of television. I mean, I'm looking at it here. I'm looking at Come In From the Cold from Mike Russell's thing. And, you can see everybody when you're high up, you can see it fine. The people that were higher up than us probably saw it pretty good than the people that were in the first 20 rows.
All right, Jahida.
Well, I just wanted to say that I think Allison is selling herself a little short, because we saw who's playing at the thing that she's producing, and that is not little. Okay, you got a large amount of name people that you are working with. So, I mean, this is, I would say your opinion definitely matters. You guys have, and Jeremy, haven't you thrown some things out in Tampa, like big things?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, those are, insider experience and know-how that like I would 100%, defer to if I were asking any of these questions. So I mean, I do agree. I think it does really suck that Olivia and Chris and all you guys like had to just watch the screen. And that was something that should have probably been thought of beforehand, because like you said, there are people were coming from freaking the corners of the earth to come and see this, and when you think of the gorge, the last thing you're thinking is that there's going to be a seat that isn't going to give me a good view because it's such an open space, So do I wish they had thought a little more about it? Sure. You know what I mean? I think
Andy Billion would have been there. Because
fair. Just to be fair, I never thought I would
back. For the people that were sitting in the back, put them up a foot higher than everybody else.
Yeah,
it's simple production shit you could do.
I think that we have to be fair to the Gorge and Live Nation. I never thought I would say this out loud, that when you do get to the point where you have to take possession of your ticket, there is something that is disclaimed, but not kind of in context, that it takes no responsibility for it may be a partial view seat. What could be a partial view seat? And I think that's because people may, maybe they put that initially because other people would complain about people, with two, whose coolers were too big on the lawn or something like that. There was, other reasons why they were getting in each other's, way. But it does, in this case, affect the seats too. And I think we don't, while we're upset, I think we'd have great difficulty not feeling like they protected themselves along the way.
This is totally off topic, but before we go on to the next song, something that I thought of is, when we watch performers, we're watching them grow up right in front of us. And some of my cynicism lifted regarding Brandi Carlile, because when you think about it, we've watched her become friends with these legends and perform with them in real time. So maybe there was a time a couple years ago when she sang a little too much and got too overexcited. But she's on her journey too. And the journey that we're following Brandi on is, I feel like I've watched her get a little bit more humble and a little more respectful of the Joni fan base. And I appreciate that. I just feel like I saw a lot of growth in her and her tenderness towards us as fans between Newport and the Gorge concert. So I just wanted to put that out there.
He's been assimilated, ladies and gentlemen.
I think also she's had a lot of things happening since she kind of became part of Joni's orbit. You know what I mean? She's become familiar with the Joni fans, and I think she wasn't the whole thing was that her wife was the one that was a ginormous fan, and she didn't even like Joni when she first heard her, but then was she eventually recognized the genius.
Catherine told her these words: "If you don't understand Joni Mitchell, then I don't know what this is."
I mean, but I don't blame her.
I don't blame her.
Deep tracks from Chris Coccaro.
I'm just saying, listen, Les is not crazy about Star Wars, but I'm okay with him being not okay about Star Wars. If I was with somebody who was yeah, no, I'm not, I don't get your whole thing about Joni, I'd be like, all right, well, this was fun. And, I'm sorry it has to end now. I mean, it just is, but I think she, over the years, has probably been humbled to some extent with the idea of, while she is a really large, and in charge kind of musician in her own right, she is not yet, because who knows, she is not yet the legend that is Joni. She doesn't have that legacy. She doesn't have that staying power as of yet. And so I think she is starting to realize that she's kind of got like a big responsibility. You know what I mean? Like, she is a bridge in a lot of ways. And she can either take on this responsibility flippantly and make it about herself, which is what a lot of artists tend to do, or she can recognize that she is a I guess I wanted to like a conductor of sorts, you know?
Facilitator.
I'm sorry.
Definitely like facilitator. Like, I think bridge was the right word for that. I think bridge is a good word.
And I think she has recognized it and takes it very seriously.
I like Joni's word, ambassador.
Oh, that's nice. There you go.
Because honestly, like,
it's brand speak, to tell you the truth, but that, you know, it works here. I mean, she's up, she's calling it.
And the fact too that in these jams that there's been a number of young, you know, musicians that probably to some extent maybe grew up listening and loving Joni, just, you know, kind of peripheral, but got the opportunity to just be surrounded by greatness, you know, and then probably became even more of a fan because of that experience. I mean, I can't see someone like, I mean, I hate to say it, but Harry Styles sitting around, you know, like just pouring over Joni Mitchell albums all of his life. You know what I mean? But I'm sure he's probably heard it from some sort of, whether it's his family or whatever, but becoming quote unquote like friendly with her and being part of the things has, I'm sure, elevated and said, oh, well, and then going back has probably become some influence. I mean, if you take any of these younger artists and say, well, okay, you know, let's go and hang out at Bob Dylan's, you know, let's go and hang out at you know, Paul McCartney's place. Who the hell in their right mind? And I'm not even a Dylan fan, and yes, Les knows, but he, like, I wouldn't be like, you know, oh no, I don't want to go. Are you kidding me? I'd be like, well, yeah, simply because while I may not be a ginormous Dylan fan, I recognize the contributions he's brought to music, and, you know, in many ways, and I'm thankful, and I would be honored to be in his presence for that, you know. So I think that is something that Brandi has been able to do, and not just Brandi. I mean, there have been other people, you know what I mean? That's Spalding for sure. But I would say Brandi certainly has, being more along she seems to be an extrovert in some ways and seems to be a very sociable person and really fostering of other people, that I think, you know, she has been a bigger bridge than before.
It also says a lot to me, because they could easily be like, okay, now I'm going to Brandi could throw one of her songs in the set. Okay, now I'm going to have Joni sing on one of my songs. I think a lot of other artists would do that, and Brandi doesn't. So to me, that says a lot.
Joni herself does it. She throws her own songs into a collection of what's supposed to be other songs.
Yeah, the Starbucks compilation. All right, Jack, you've had your hand up.
Yeah, now what the hell was I going to say? You know, I think one thing about the Brandi situation, you know, Joni's a pretty shrewd businesswoman. And, you know, sort of tagging along with Brandi has exposed her to an audience that she would have probably never have gotten otherwise. You know, you know, I've heard the complaint, well, how come Herbie Hancock isn't there and Brian Blade wasn't there? And, you know, why isn't she using all her old bandmates? That would have made a lot of us old fans very happy, but I don't know that it would have brought many new ones in. So to me, the exposure she's gotten, because Brandi's got a pretty huge following, I think it was a very shrewd move on Joni's part.
And I feel like Brandi has something special and unique that no one kind of has had. I can't think of someone like from the 2000s that is comparable, that has kind of set up the thing like Brandi has now.
Go back farther, though.
But who from the 90s?
He's
Like,
Mama Cass.
could you see Joni on the Lilith Fair? Like, I just don't think it's the same. I feel like
I don't think you have to go that far to find why she is appealing to Joni.
right.
She's Mama Cass.
Okay.
She's that inclusive and about family. I mean, the parties were always at Cass's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what Jeremy's point is there's nobody. I mean, Cass died in the.
I hear you. I hear you.
Since then, I mean, there's not, there hasn't really been, except
Hmm.
maybe Joni herself though, right? Because she really was doing these jams for a while.
Right, and that's the story. That's the story, is that they're doing the Joni jams and they're sharing what they all experienced in the living rooms. So I'm just looking on Mike Russell's list here, and the guy that got to sing his own song is not even on this list. They left him off that list. What was the guy that's been there since day one?
Oh,
anybody remember his name? Chris?
The guy that sang his own song?
Yeah.
Rich,
and so,
wasn't it?
what if that would have been Brian Thomas, to get to play one of his own songs on stage? We all would have gone berserk. And I know that a lot of people didn't connect with that particular song that night. But I mean, I know a lot of us would have, if it would have been Brian's song, or if it would have been, somebody from our crew.
The rage, like the jealousy, the hot jealousy of that fucker on the stage singing a song to Joni Mitchell. That's all I'm going to say.
This might be a hot take. Even though I loved him, like, I didn't give a shit that Brian Blade wasn't there. Like, I don't care. I was just there to see Joni. Allison's been patiently waiting. Allison.
It was covered. So I'm going to put my hand up again when I have another thought.
Okay. We are on track 4, moving right along. This is where I
wait a minute. This is part of what I had to say is it's 8:26 Mountain Standard Time, and we're on track 4. So I'm tapping out in like 3 more songs.
Perfect.
This is how we roll, honey.
Yeah. People can come and go as they wish. Much love to everyone.
This could take days to get through this entire set. It was a 3-hour show. I mean,
yeah, it was a 3-hour show.
Have you not watched Gilligan's Island?
I was just going to
3
say,
hours. Can we go on?
3 hours.
3 hours, or we just turned into a 2-season sitcom.
All right. Song number 4 of like 3,000 at the concert. This is where I fucking lost my balls at the show. One of my favorite Joni Mitchell songs of all time is Coming from the Cold. It's such a fucking deep song. Joni took the lead. I thought Brandi's background vocals were exquisite. I thought the arrangement was just breathtaking. And I couldn't even fucking breathe. I was crying so hard. Sue, take it away.
So I mean, it's so funny because I always think of Coming from the Cold as a deep track, but it's been cut. I mean, when this came on, I was like, I don't even believe this is happening. And what I really loved about it was, I love the Lucius, is that what they're called? The two singers. They did a great job on that. And Brandi was singing along and everything, but listening to Joni sing that song, to hear her say, all the verses are just so incredible. I am not some stone commission, like a statue in a park, I mean, I was like, I can't believe she's singing this. This is so amazing. And I could actually hear the sometimes on the song on the album, you can't really hear the words really great of the background singers of what they sing in between the verses, but you could hear it really great. And all the lyrics sounded so amazing. I just loved
Justin
it.
Holly did a great job. They were fantastic.
It was so great. I hope
feel-
that comes out good. I mean, have people listen to the I mean, I'd love to hear it in great sound.
Even on the videos I watched, it was amazing. Like, and I feel like the how many years has it been since that song? 32 or something?
90.
So the age and wisdom that's been added to that song, I mean, we all know like the modern version of both sides now, but like adding years of experience to coming from the cold even made it deeper to me.
The fact that we were sitting in the audience with people who were there was mind-blowing for me. There were people in the audience she went to high school with.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was really crazy. I just wanted to share one memory, which was, I remember when Night Ride Home came out, and my mom and my sister and I went to, they used to call them record stores, and we bought it. And then we got into the car. It was actually a CD, and we put it into the CD player, and we literally just drove around Salt Lake City for like an hour and a half or however long it took, just like in silence, maybe chain smoking as a team. But my mom and my sister and I just like devoured that album as soon as it came out. That album is so entrenched in my brain, in my life. And my big regret is that my mom ended up not coming to this show, because she would have been like horribly blown away. And as in tears as I was, I would not have been able to carry her through that moment. I could barely carry myself through that moment. Does anyone else have that like Night Ride Home when that album came out? Like how fucking life-changing that album was?
Allison, I feel like it came out.
Oh, sorry.
I feel like it came out on March 21st, 1991. For some reason, like, I remember the day. Like, and it's so interesting because I feel like the majority of us on that panel probably all spent our day with that album the day it came out.
I was out of high school, so it had to have been 91 at least. And I was before I started college, and it was just this weird family moment where we didn't have anything to say to each other, just like leave it, let it play. And then we chain smoked Camel Lights and drove around drinking coffee.
Yeah, I went into this weird Sue the Missing years, like around that time. And a couple of, I guess about a year after it came out, my sister said, "Did you get Night Ride Home?" And I go, "What's that?" And she was like, "Joni Mitchell's new album. It came out like a year ago. What the hell?" And I was like, "What?" Because I guess I just stopped listening to her for like 5 years after, Dog Eat Dog maybe or something. And I went and got that album, and the thing that hit me, she's playing acoustic and she's writing like fucking amazing songs again. I felt like it was the song after Hajira or something, you know? I mean, it was just amazing and beautiful, and 2 Gray Rooms, and oh my God.
The whole album.
It was like we couldn't get out of the car.
Yeah, it was.
We could not get out of the car. Yeah. Just keep driving. Let's go to Provo. I don't know. Let's drive to Jackson. Stay in the car. We're going to listen to the thing 13 more fucking times. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, when we were up at British Columbia, we did it that night with all the background, like everybody got up and was doing the background vocals and everything. It was just so phenomenally great. The song.
It came out on February 19th, 1991 was the release of Night Ride Home.
Thank you.
I have to admit, I'm
somebody's birthday.
Something that I am unable to add because this was before I even knew about Joni. It came out I was 11. Sorry. And I know, pause, your face tells it all.
What brand of cigarettes did you smoke?
I did not.
Truly jailbait.
I wasn't lucky. That's just it. Is like, and it's one of those things that's crazy. Is I mean, I grew up listening to a ton of music, because of my parents, but my dad and mom, they just weren't like really large Joni Mitchell fans. Not that they didn't know who she was. It's just they were more disco people and classic rock people, and so if it wasn't for my English teacher, I wouldn't be here. In general, I would not be here. And so it took 2 more years. And then I didn't even listen to Night Ride Home, like that album, for years, because it wasn't one of those things where all of a sudden, like, I heard her and just consumed everything that she had done. It was more along the lines of, like, I found certain things that were more readily available, and I just don't think that those albums were as readily available. I remember going home and being like, "Hey, Dad, have you ever heard of this lady called Joni Mitchell?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think I got one of her albums right over here," because that's how my dad talks, by the way. So he had Song to a Seagull, and I played the shit out of that album. And by the way, Allison, records are coming back. I don't know if you know this, but they're actually selling much more now than they have in a really long time. And I think it's because this newer generation, I guess, what, Gen Z, I don't know.
No one knows what the fuck they're called. They're way past Gen Z. My kids are 13 and 15. We have 2 record players. That's all we do right now is go to Randy's Records and Diabolical. And we have like some really great record stores here in Salt Lake City, which might surprise some of you. But that's all we do is we go and we just bought a $50 original press new Metallica that has one of my kids is really into metal. So yeah, that's what we do is we go to record stores and buy weird shit, and the used record stores.
And I think it comes from having like realized that there's a lot of media now that's not physical, and it doesn't have that same kind of feel, same way that I refused to get a Kindle because I want the feel of a book. This with albums, like I feel like nowadays people kind of realize like having that physical album, liner notes, things like that, exactly, like being able to look at the beauty that is the graphics is something that is a lost art that is coming back.
My brother just bought the quadraphonic Court and Spark.
These are the 2 that are in heavy rotation at my house right now. That one, and then this one for the nerds in the room that know who Nilsson is.
Nilsson.
And I love this because
you're breaking my heart. You're tearing it apart. So fuck you.
Fuck you.
I thought this album was so gross when I was little because he's in a bathrobe, and now I'm like, how fucking brilliant was Nilsson? I mean, like he taught John Lennon everything he knew, but whatever.
Chris, your hand was up before. You don't remember? All right. Any other thoughts on Coming from the Cold?
Oh my God, we're still on that song. This is fucking ridiculous. We're going to be here until 3
You guys, we're only halfway through the show.
No, I'm going in 20 minutes. I've got an early call. I just so you know, Joy signed a recording contract yesterday with Riotboy.
Awesome.
So yeah. She called and talked to Brandi about it, and Brandi was all hyped up, and yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and we got a meeting in the morning, and I've got a ton of work, so yeah, I have to bow out, but I'm having a blast.
Well,
congratulations, baby.
Those who can stay. Those who must leave, you are loved. Okay.
Probably going to put this a 2-parter.
I don't think so. This is too much stressful to plan this one. We can who is willing to stay for as long as it takes to go through them all?
I appreciate the effort, but I also no, never mind. I won't be able to stay for as long as it takes to go through them all, but I do love you all.
All right. I feel like once we get to some of these other songs, it's not going to be as much discussion. Amelia's when Sue lost it. That's when Sue lost it. I was Coming for the Cold for me, Amelia for Sue. So Sue, do you want to talk about Amelia since I was right next to you? And
I mean, it's one of my favorite songs, and it's like Hashira,
Is Amelia the fifth track?
Yeah.
Or are we at a sequence?
Nope, it's the next track after Coming from the Cold.
Okay.
And I mean, to listen to her sing that was just amazing. I mean, I just couldn't keep it together.
I couldn't either.
I feel like Coming from the Cold and Amelia were like the real heart of the show for me. Like that's when it got the heaviest and the deepest for me.
Yeah, well, it's a very deep song, and it's like, how do you adore somebody for like decades, and see her like this at like almost 80 and sing that song in like perfectly. It was just amazing.
It was a great version.
Oh my God.
And how do you do it? No, I'm unlike I don't think she ever stepped into the camera, but my daughter is named Amelia for a reason, and God bless Amelia Earhart. That ain't it,
Say what? What? Say that one more time.
I said my daughter is named Amelia for a reason, and God bless Amelia Earhart. It's not that.
The thing is that the whole.
You have an Amelia. Wait, hold on. Chris has an Amelia too?
Yes.
Oh, we're a bunch of suckers, man. I mean, it was like before I ever got pregnant, before I ever knew it was a girl, I was like, I'm having an Amelia. I'm just like gonna guide the gods to give me an Amelia. That song, like you were saying, Sue, threw me for such a fucking loop. I didn't think I was going to be able to recover. I really didn't. I mean, strangers were like, "Are you okay?" Again, no, I'm not.
Yeah, we're not.
All right, Olivia.
Talking
Olivia's
about Amelia Earhart.
I have to say bye, guys. It was nice chatting with you.
Are you going out? You look great.
Thanks,
Olivia.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, Olivia.
I love you.
Bye, Olivia. Love you. You look beautiful.
So I just want to say one more thing. The Amelia Earhart thing is just part of the vehicle that she uses to write an incredible story about her feelings.
Yeah.
Just this intense loneliness and connection with somebody who like disappeared, like in certain ways being on the road was like a disappearance, I mean, it's just so incredible. I mean, it's so perfect. There are so many of her songs that, and I know I've said this like a million times, but they just balance on a pin, they're just so perfectly written and perfectly played that, it just blows me away. And, there's so many great versions of this song too, like the with Jocko and Pat Metheny and all that. And, anytime it's played, it's just so incredibly moving and gorgeous.
And hard.
Yeah. All right, now pause.
I know what you mean about the other performances on it. At the show. It was clumsy for me, and I think it was because of the guitar player that's in the front with the beard, the guy from Dawes.
Oh.
Having performed her songs with other people singing, that's a really hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do to play the song and sing it yourself, but to play the song and have the woman that wrote this freaking masterpiece right there sitting next to you is some other. So my hat's off to the guy, but I just felt like a disconnect between him and Joni during the performance, and therefore it suffered a little bit for me. I still love the song amazingly. I was hoping we would hear more from Wendy, and that would have been one that I think she would have nailed, because the night
she played more songs at the music fairs, and she was just amazing. I mean, every single song was perfect.
Brilliant. I mean, I told her a million times that I just was so impressed with the work that she had done to prepare for that show.
Yeah, that was great.
Unbelievable the amount of studying she might have had to do. So
I just looked at the set list, and there's 24 songs. They were only on song 5. Should this be a 2-parter and 12 songs?
It's got to be a 2-parter, but I have a quick question that I hope some of you can answer. How did Lucius And like, what I just had it. I wrote a note, and now I can't find it.
They were at Las Vegas. They
Lucius, Dawes, like, how did all of these people come into this orbit? Because like, I love Dawes, but I don't get it.
Brandy's been touring. Brandy's been touring with Lucius for years now.
Huh.
Yeah, they've had a long standing relationship.
So it's all Brandi bringing in these other artists.
Not all of them, but many of them.
Sister Strings, the black girls that were playing fiddles and
Sister Strings. Yep.
They played with Allison Russell. They were in the band with Joy and Allison, and then they jumped ship to join Brandy's band.
They were right. They were in the Canyon thing from last fall. Yeah.
Allison Russell was really good on Friday night, and she
was unbelievable.
She had a minimal
she's great.
Yeah. I wish Olivia hadn't, because I think she really likes Mumford. I don't really know much about Mumford and Sons, but yeah, I'm sorry.
Other than the fact that they suck,
I didn't get it. I would have
shitty music for stupid people. Sorry.
I think they're a higher grade of Americana. I don't mind them. I like them.
We're not in a situation where I don't mind them is like the bar. I don't mind them. I don't mind, elevator music. Mumford and Sons suck. They suck. Shitty music for stupid people. They don't write well. They don't play well.
Mr. Mumford's guitar was so thin and it was always distorted, and it just I don't know. Dude, that must be a $2,000 guitar. You can't make it sound any better than that.
I thought his solo set was really good, and his vocal performances I thought were terrific and well delivered.
All I will say is that if he wanted a good time after the show, I would have given it to him. That's the only thing that I was interested in.
When he told Joni, when he said, "Well, you have to wait and see," to Joni, I was like, "Dude, what are you? What? Put some respect on that. She'll have to wait for you. What, dude?"
Now, I have felt that way about Mumford and Sons since the day they had their first shitty top 100 song. It's shitty music for stupid people. It's not well written. It's not well thought out. It's not interesting or creative. It's shit. How anyone from that band ended up on that stage?
Taylor Swift. I meant to say Marcus Mumford. So yeah.
I mean, Marcus Mumford makes Taylor Swift look like fucking Einstein. I mean, it's not. She's like Beethoven compared to him.
Well, speaking of
Brian, I can see you
like Beethoven.
Watch what Shaka said to Marcus.
What?
So
what are you doing here?
I don't remember if they wrote this on the Gershwin prize thing, but so he introduced himself because he was the first one at the Gershwin prize, and he says, we were all sitting around and we were at Joni's, and I was singing. I can't remember what it was he said he was singing, and he said, and Shaka Khan afterward looked at me and goes, "You fucked that up." And she was not being like, "Oh, you killed it." She was like, "No, you suck." And she looked at Joni and she goes, "Do you want me to sing that better?"
Wow.
Yeah, and what she was thinking was, what the fuck are you even doing here? Right?
And he, I think it showed some humility from him. I think he kind of also said it in a joking way. And but honestly, in that story, my hero was Shaka, because she was like, "Boy, you suck."
What song was it? What song was it?
I remember what it was that it was. I know he's at the show. He's saying, maybe it was that. Maybe that's what it was. Les probably would be better at.
Well, that's our next song to discuss. Is actually Carrie that he's saying, right? So are we? Let's make it official that we're talking about that. I didn't need his version of Carrie.
Well, I thought it was really cute that he apparently that's his song because his wife's name Carrie. For the Romans.
Didn't he change the gender too? and make it like her. I'm like, bitch,
So,
motherfucker.
Brian, please go.
Brian,
please.
Brian,
Please.
I'd like to, Brian. Laura has her hand up. Positive.
Stop indicating, Brian. Speak.
Oh,
Yeah, Brian, you're up.
Use
Brian.
your emojis.
I need to make a safe space for Brian. Brian, go.
Yeah, I have no beef, but that little bit where he told Joni she'd have to wait to find out what he was going to play, I thought that was just obnoxious.
Arrogant.
Yeah.
That just
Sit down,
like,
big boy.
you're lucky to be in that chair.
Absolutely. Sit the fuck down and shut up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said something
Like
loud,
your
but anyway.
You can sit on me. All right, Laura.
That's all I'm gonna say. And the change in the gender.
The
Oh
gender
my God.
change. Like it's
Okay.
2023.
Okay, we know you're straight. Okay, guy.
That bothered me a lot.
He did. Anyway.
That really bothered me, the gender change. I'm like, it's 2023. It's a fucking Joni Mitchell concert. We know you're not sucking a dick after the show, motherfucker.
No, we don't know that, just to clarify. We don't know. But don't change the gender of that song.
Do you guys remember that half hour I was missing? Okay, Laura, you're next.
It was only a half an hour? Seemed like hours to me.
Laura, you've been patient. I can't even breathe.
Well, yeah, like what Allison said, we don't know. I wonder what he's really like, because it's like he had this thing going on, and I don't know if y'all noticed, but he was squinting one eye, and I was like, what is this eye squint thing, and I do remember his set, because I was trying to figure out what the hell is happening here. And I couldn't have told you that he sang Carrie. I had no idea what he was singing, but just his whole like ambiance. But the squint was, I really was like, what is this? What is he doing? Is he winking at us, or
He's trying to see if Jeremy Gloff was in the audience, I think.
hard for him to sing?
Well, and not to mention the fact that according to local legend, Carrie was actually there, right? Wasn't there like a story that Carrie was actually there?
He was at the Gershwin talk.
Oh, he wasn't at the show. That's
yeah.
right. I'm getting those two confused.
He got lost in Janet Jackson and Paul McCartney's shuttle.
Oh, right. I think either way we
He
can
was
all
also at the
agree.
tribute show in Washington.
I hate
Right.
to be a party pooper, but he didn't sing Carrie.
Well, there is.
Who wasn't the same Carrie then?
Joni sang it.
No, Joni didn't.
He sang.
Oh, I'm
Carrie.
thinking of California.
He sang California.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you very much.
Who sang Carrie? Joni sang Carrie?
Well, we'll have to find out.
That rabbit hole.
Where it gets stored.
Wait, so Carrie, I guess, let us know he wasn't going to the concert because he was on a Buddhist retreat. A silent.
Wasn't there? Can you turn your volume up of your microphone?
Actually, I think it's her fan.
Or you got a fan on you.
Yeah, you sound a little underwater. So was
Yeah.
Carrie
What
was another
happens if you turn on music? You turn on original sound for musicians. Maybe that'll get rid of your noise reduction.
Carrie was another one of the sing-alongs, wasn't it? Everyone was singing that one.
Everybody was singing it, but Joni sang a major part of it.
Okay. I
All
suck
right,
as a
so
host.
just to clarify, whatever Marcus Mumford did,
Established that
sucked
during
a dick.
the
Fine. I don't care what it was. We don't even need to name it. We can leave him in the dust of this concert history. Like, let's not even waste any more time on him. They suck. Stupid music, stupid people.
I propose we talk about one more song because some people had to leave soon, right? Do I want to do one or two more songs?
I'm up for two more.
Okay, we're gonna do two more. Do we have any? I'm sorry, I fucked up Carrie. I just cried so much concert. Does anyone have anything else to say about Carrie? Okay. Next is Sex Kills, which Celeste Henderson took the lead on it, but Joni sang on the choruses and jumped in on some of the verses. I thought it was awesome hearing Sex Kills live. I love that song. I don't have too much to say.
Me too.
Laura, is your hand up from before? or is it a new one?
It's from before.
Okay, Jahida.
I just want to say that since then, I have become a Celeste fan. Oh my gosh. This woman just owned the stage, which, with that caliber of musicians around her, Marcus Mumford notwithstanding, y'all, I feel like she's not that poor guy, but I mean, it just, if somebody was going to continue to be snarky, but holy shit, yo, seriously, Celeste was just incredible. She just had such a presence, and the way she interpreted the song was, I feel like it was different than Joni, which was great, but not so far off the mark that it was unrecognizable.
Right.
I like one of the jokes with between us and I and everything with Herbie Hancock's River album is trying to listen to both sides now and trying to figure out where the hell both sides now is in that actual piece, but in this case she made it her own, and I am definitely a fan. I mean, she really, I don't know that I would say yet, because I haven't really heard her guitar skills enough to agree with Joni that she is a female Jimi Hendrix. You know what I mean? But I look forward to it. If Joni says that, then I'm inclined to listen when I like it. I feel like, again, we also shitted on Rick Wakefield or whatever his name is, but I think it was one of those things where Joni is kind of throwing a bone a little bit. I feel like in this case with Celeste, it was not meant to throw anything. I felt like she truly, believed it. Like she was truly like, this woman is incredible, and really appreciated her, and I think she got a lot of fans that night. I do
too.
I think she was the top of a lot of
her performance at a show that I saw Chris at, the Love Rock show in New York, and she covered Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll and played guitar and sang the motherfucker. She took the top of everybody's heads off. I mean, I walked out of there going, who the fuck was that? I mean, she was unbelievable. So yeah, I have to agree with you. I thought her performance was spectacular. And then he
shreds.
Help me.
He shreds.
Yeah, she's definitely a shredder. She her playing was much more tasteful and subdued for the Gorge show, but she's known to shred. And
did you see her
she
the night
picked up
before?
guitar like 10 years ago.
Just gonna say,
learning it on you taught herself watching YouTube.
Yes.
Like she's it just angers
Other
me.
level.
She's amazing.
It just angers me.
And if you want to know why Joni calls her the female Jimi Hendrix, she performed and with the lead guitar on Woodstock with Brandi Carlile the night before, and it killed. She was amazing.
Yeah, that was a great solo too. Yes.
All right, we have Sue and then Laura and Allison. Was your hand up also?
Yeah.
Okay, so Sue, Laura, Allison. You're muted, Sue.
Didn't she play Help Me at Newport? I've heard her play Help Me too.
She did Help Me at the
Yeah,
Gorge.
she played Help Me that night.
Oh, okay, all right.
She did it at Newport too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I really love her version of Help Me.
Because Help Me is like an impossible song to sing. Yeah. And I thought it was one of the best versions of it I've heard besides Joni's. Man, it was amazing.
It was really good.
That will be in part 2 of our 10-hour podcast. Laura, you're up.
I just wanted to say that the energy, between Joni and is her name Celeste? Is that
Celeste.
Elise? Okay. It was just so powerful, to see that amount of emotion coming from Joni toward her and then back. I'm curious to learn more about her.
There was definitely a genuine exchange of energy there, and it was such a respectful reinterpretation. I just think she's fucking awesome. Allison.
I don't have any read on Celeste yet. I thought she was great. I think everywhere I've seen her is great. I just would like, as a feminist, for you all to stop saying she's the female Jimi Hendrix and just say she's fucking Celeste, because she doesn't need to be the female anything. She can just be a
not our words.
Player.
It was Joan that said that.
Not our words.
It wasn't it Joni that always got mad that she was called a female singer-songwriter, ironically?
And then she did it.
Brandi Bush, so, she can call anybody whatever the fuck she wants to call.
Well, I'm just an old feminist, and I'm just saying, we don't need to use those paradigms. We can use other words we can use to describe people who are really talented.
I feel you.
Thank you for
that
your
was
virtue,
we were just.
virtue
I think people were just quoting what Joni actually said that
yes.
night to describe Celeste.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Joni's 140. Does she know anyone past Joni Mitchell or past Jimi Hendrix? No.
Oh, Laura, was your hand up from before, or is it a new one?
Yeah, I'll put it down.
Okay, you're perfect. I just don't want to skip you. That makes Jahida up next.
Jahida, hit me with some feminism.
Well, no. I was literally just saying what Joni said. So, but I was looking up the set list, and we were right. Carrie was first. And then Marcus Mumford sang California later.
Later, right? Yeah.
So I think we just wanted to jump to shitting on Marcus Mumford so much that we jumped over it. But I would say we can always go back to it. But
premature,
Well, okay, so something I learned when I was in college was that to ejaculate actually means to speak. Originally, it's when you are ejaculating, it is you speak, right? So, so when you say premature ejaculation, technically, you could be speaking too soon.
I was talking about premature evacuation.
And that's why every time I'm in the bedroom with a man, I say, talk to me.
Use your big words.
Use your big fucking words. Okay, we have one song left. God damn it. It always turns into a two-parter, but we just can't help ourselves. And maybe I'll try to get my ass home early because Jamie can do his shine if I can get my ass home. So he'll be happy that we talk so much. He'll be happy we ejaculate so much. Okay. Any other thoughts on sex kills? I loved hearing the jack-offs in the office line. Go, Joni. We're going to end our discussion with song 8 of 24. But a big part of our discussion was setting the scene. So we'll get through all the songs next time. But the last song we'll discuss today is Summertime, which of course we've heard Joni do more recently. It was an exquisite version. It was beautiful. Her performance spoke for itself. I have nothing to say. I have nothing to ejaculate. Does anybody else?
Yeah, I would have liked to see her stand up like she did at the Gershwin Awards. That was amazing.
Yeah.
The poignancy of her standing there singing, and it was freaking flawless. But I don't know, because singing sitting down, that had to be hard to sit there for 3 hours and try to sing your songs that way. So, hats off to Joan.
Chris, was your hand up?
It was. I just wanted to say that it gets more and more beautiful and confident and intricate and surprising and just innovative every time she sings it. she does something new. And this was about the time when I thought her arrangement chops are so still way intact. Her wit is intact. Everything, all of her gifts are there. I have to believe that the muse is going to punch her big time upside the head and get her writing in a big way soon. I think the fact that she's in British Columbia now is just, I think, the healthiest thing for her. I hope she stays a good long time there.
Allison.
I think those are two different conversations. I agree with what the last part of what you said. I think Summertime, Janis Joplin did it. She did it best. Put it to bed. Leave it alone. It was Janis's. It doesn't need to be Joni's. She doesn't need to do it. I think it's fucking boring unless Janis does it. And that's not obviously just on. I bristle against it entirely. Anyone want to fight me?
Mumford might wanna.
That guy.
I would.
Right. Right now,
Standard. Nobody owns that song.
I was gonna say it, Brian.
Brandi Carlile is saying this to herself. Thank God it's not me anymore. Poor Martha's.
No, I feel
I love Brandi.
A jazz vocalist who does Summertime. Look, do I love Janis's version? Yeah, obviously. But she made it her version. She took it her way, and I feel like Joni is paying more homage to the Ella Gershwin way. I mean, she's not going to be able to sing Leontine Price, key, but she's singing it in her key, and she's giving it her stamp on it. And that's what jazz vocalists do with standards. We are
nodding your head, Chris.
I'm totally nodding my head.
I didn't even know Janis Joplin did a version of the song, so there's that.
Janis Joplin did the definitive version of that song for a generation.
Big Brother and the Holding Company, baby.
That's right, and they're just so
on guitar.
It's the first song she sang. After in a Joni Jam. I mean, it's in a certain way, it's hers now. I mean, that's the song that brought her out of, that brought her back, basically.
He came in from the cold singing Summertime.
I just think that
Allison, go stand in the corner for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Laura, and then
put your pointy little hat on.
Yeah. Laura and Sue have their hand. Chris, was your hand up too?
Take that wet noodle.
I'll just make one other Summertime.
I gotta say that Summertime is Joni's, and it was Joni's a long time, probably even before Janet
from Gershwin's world
born. And it goes back to Gershwin, but it also goes back to Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, which was the album that Joni loved. And listen to that song on there if you get a chance.
The Herbie Hancock album too, that was a great version and in a different register than she's doing it now.
And I'm glad you mentioned registers, because I think Joni's going to be able to get up higher.
Yes.
From now, I agree with you.
Yeah. Her voice, she's used to singing low, but I really see that progression in her voices, and it's from not smoking. It's the vocal folds will come back, and that's what's happening with her. But anyway, Summertime, Joni,
Didn't Joni always say her voice didn't get lower because of smoking, though? I believed her when she said that.
Of course she did, but that was before.
That's before it got really bad.
I'm being stupid. Sue and then Chris.
So I have this beautiful memory that is not about this concert. I was at Back to the Garden in 1998, and I was in the press pit taking pictures. I was like this far away from her. And we were only allowed to be in the press pit for the first 3 songs. So as I was leaving, she started Summertime, And so I turned around to watch because I hadn't ever heard her sing that before. And as she was singing it, a V of Canadian geese flew over her head. And the whole crowd was like, oh, like that. It was just so amazing. It was just, and she was singing it beautifully. It was just crazy. So
Is
So
that
I
on
think it's her
video?
song, too.
Is the show on video? Her performance?
Which
oh
one?
yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
Okay,
Oh,
Chris and then Allison.
Okay, one last thing on Summertime. Nobody owns this song. Nobody, not one person. This song is extraordinarily important within one of the most culturally significant works in the American canon. Nobody owns this song. I had an experience where I used to make a lot of business trips to Los Angeles, and I'm going to tell you that I spent midday Sunday an hour. If I had the day off, I would go and I would park, I'm going to say, in Joni's neighborhood. And I once listened to, the day I was there, I once listened to a beautiful singer do what I thought was the most simple, beautiful, spiritual version of this song I'd ever heard. And it was really weirdly close to where Joni, I believe maybe she might be. And so for me, I've always like associated long this song for no reason. But this is before Joni ever recorded it. And it was Renee Fleming's version on an album that's called I Love Music, or I Want Magic. I think that's what it's called. And she takes time out with Summertime. And if you haven't heard it, go to YouTube, check it out. It's really stirring. So I don't believe anybody owns this song. It's too important.
Well, Chris, you and I saw the director of the Library of Congress give her a facsimile of Summertime in Gershwin's handwriting. So she does own Summertime now.
Oh, shit.
She has it.
She
Allison,
literally-
your hand was up, Allison.
My hand is up because I just wanted to say this is giving me very, very, very old school Joni List vibes, but doing it like with video. And also, Michael says smart things. I say bombastic shit. Brian comes in for fun. And Laura just sits down there and is like, I will say what needs to be said when it needs to be said. And you have always been like this very steady, like I'm not involving any of you in.
Somebody has to be the adult in the room, really.
I know, and it's Laura, and it's giving me really old school Joni List vibes. I just wanted to shout out for you just being like, can you all please shut up and stuff? So thank you, Laura. That's all I was trying to say.
Oh,
I
you
enjoy
know,
what everybody has to say. And I think Joni will definitely share Summertime.
Yes. Yes. I also agree.
this is a classic Joni Mitchell Phonogenics. We talked longer than we expected. We laughed, we cried, we fought with each other a little bit.
And we go deeper than we imagine a lot of times, which is
Fighting?
fun.
that's what she
There's
said.
no fighting at Phonogenics.
Yeah, there's no fighting.
No, there's
only
just
loving.
snarkyisms.
Snarkyisms. Well,
Yeah, if you guys want to listen to a version of Summertime that is in my opinion close to the original Leontine Price version, Jesse Norman does an amazing version.
She lived in my town and I never saw her at the A&P.
She was incredible. But she just had such a presence in with her voice in all things. So I would say for sure, if you want to kind of get an idea of the original version, how strong it can be, you can also listen to her. So
Jack.
I just want to say that I love her version of Summertime. I think the Gershwin version is just flawless. I don't remember if this one was perfect or not. I was very moved by it. If I remember correctly, wasn't there a beautiful trumpet, almost like a Wayne Shorter kind of thing going on that I thought was really, really tasteful and beautiful?
Mark Isham.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a great song for Joni to sing, and her phrasing and her new voice fit it perfectly.
I'd like to hear Billy Porter sing it.
I would like to watch
Those
Billy
odds
Porter.
now is probably one of the highlights of that Vegas show that was just unbelievable. I don't know where this guy's from outer space. Don't know where the hell he came from, but boy, yeah, I bet he could sing the shit out of that song, and I'd love
I
to.
thought Seal nailed both sides now, but Billy Porter's was
killed it. Kills everybody in my mind.
I have to
Him and
just,
Cindy Lauper.
I gotta brag just a little bit because when I was 16 years old, I went to my first Broadway play ever.
Kinky Boots?
No, what?
Wasn't he in Kinky Boots?
Yes, he was on Broadway.
Yes.
When I was 16. I ain't that young. But I went to go see Grease on Broadway, and Billy Porter played Teen Angel. And I remember leaving and being just like, who was that? Because let's be real, the rest of the cast was like, but he was incredible. Just to give you an idea, the one who played Rizzo, Anne Murray. Anne Murray played.
Wow.
Oh, no, sorry, Debbie Boone. Sorry, I
That
for
makes
some
more
reason I was confused them. Debbie Boone. You light up my life, fucking Debbie Boone.
From Long Island.
I mean, sure, but she played Rizzo. Like that makes no sense, you know. And then Danny Zuko was Adrian Zemed, who was in Grease too, by the way. But anyway, but Billy Porter just was the star of the show, 100%. And so I'm like, I got to see him before he was like the Billy Porter.
I haven't seen him live, but I will say that if you have not all watched the series Pose, stop your lives, please. Start Pose.
It's so good, Allison.
Maybe I think it's the most important television that has happened in a really long time. Because it's like, oh, this is about fashion. But no, it's about race and AIDS and being gay and the 80s and New York. I think the most underrated, amazing television series that has happened in a very, very long time.
I haven't seen the last season yet.
Me neither.
It's fucking stellar. It's fucking stellar.
I just saw him in concert actually, like about 3 weeks ago, and it was an extremely moving and powerful experience. I mean,
yeah. He just did our Equality Utah, our gay organization benefit here. He's just fucking phenomenal. I mean, he's just a powerhouse, and he's also kind and lovely. And I mean, it was really hard for me to come back from Pose. It was really hard for me to watch anything else that wasn't that show. It was so good. But finally, I found, Celebrity Jeopardy, and then I know.
It was definitely reminding me so much of coming of age at that time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, friends, anything else? Yes.
I looked up the set list, and one of the things I realized was one of the things we missed was, so the guy from Dawes, he sang with Joni for Coming from the Cold. I think he did a couple of the verses as well, right? And then
I just think he did the echoes. I don't think he took any lead. I think he just sang like the echo lines.
I feel like I could swear I remember doing background vocals though.
Yeah, he did the backgrounds. And I think he did like the first line, and then Joni just took it from there.
Yeah. And then with Amelia, one of the things that we forgot is because it was Blake Mills singing it, but he was playing Joni's guitar.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's
EA.
right. And he was doing some Larry Carlton shit with it too. I think that is going to be a star mix when and if they finally finish this as a finished album. I think that's going to be stellar.
So I
No,
mean,
Paz didn't like it, but I think it's going to be great.
I didn't like. I don't know, but I don't remember the solo. And I don't. Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to do Larry Carlton in that.
I thought so too, but I was
Yeah.
hearing it. I was feeling it.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at that one in the morning when I'm fresh.
Well,
like I was saying, it's not only a big song, but then on top of that, you're playing her guitar.
her fucking guitar, man.
You can see
Big
the Parker.
wow.
You can see the Parker headstocks. There's the chair, the shot of the behind the chairs, the two chairs.
She had two there, right?
There's two Parker headstocks there.
Yeah.
I'm going to close out the podcast and I'm going to pause it so we can figure out what we're going to do next. Does anyone have any final thoughts?
Love you all.
I need
Good night, Mary Ellen.
Well, I love you all. Thank you to the Joni Mitchell fans here. Thanks to the Patreon subscribers for paying my bills. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my podcast bills? Can you? And then I'm getting tired. We will see you all soon. I'm going to pause and let's keep talking. Joni Mitchell forever.